And ladies, you never want to miss it. This is the best place in the world to get an education from men, because Straight Talk is the place for men to be able to have conversations as men without ever being called toxic. So welcome to Straight Talk. I am on Blog Talk Radio, and I am simultaneously streaming live on YouTube. And we are going to have our Saturday evening conversation on Straight Talk, where we always address life, love, money, career. We address things from a man's perspective. And tonight, this is surely going to be from a man's perspective. No question, no doubt. As many of you have already seen the title, I have been sort of giving hints all week. I've been asking questions like, what are the characteristics, or what do you think U.S. culture is made up of? And I've been getting all kinds of responses. And as always, I like to mix a little bit of research instead of just giving people my opinion about things. I like to have some facts to the matter. So I just want to make sure on YouTube, can you hear me, everyone? Is my voice coming through clear on YouTube? And I've got to give a shout to Reggie and Super Chat. Thank you for the $5, Reggie, man. You're a great supporter. Thanks. You've always been there. And have some really good brainstorming sessions with you. So as always, thanks for your support. Thank you, Reggie. Ben Allen, hey, thanks for coming in, man, to hear this. This is going to be one of those long overdue conversations that I think we kind of have avoided. And it's much bigger than I'd say most people realize, because the discussion is, has the U.S. become a whore culture? And some people will say, oh, well, that's Western culture. And we can do that. Sure. But I really want to have this conversation about the U.S. It looks like lighting isn't the greatest. So let's try that. I think I have better lighting with that. Hey, good evening. Who's that? Is that Charlie? Chaos for you. Hey, thanks for joining. Thank you for coming in, Chaos for you. Cutting into your dream. Yeah, I just watched that video today, WAP. I wanted to make sure I saw it before. So let's get the likes up for this. We are going to have a party here of some sorts. We're going to get down with this conversation and talk about some things that most people are not even, they're avoiding it. They're avoiding it. It's the decadence, and we're enjoying everything that's happening and taking advantage of it. Some people, they're talking about how feminism is good for men because women can have their own, but it's coming with some other costs. So I want to get into this I want to get into this conversation in a very bold. We're gonna have this conversation as men. Yeah, we're gonna do this as men, and we're gonna talk about the undiscussable, the things that we don't talk about, and we enjoy some of them, except we're really paying a price in the long run. And this has been happening for longer than most people want to say. So we may be just literally repeating history. People keep saying history repeats itself, and here we are. So, a lot of you have heard about what was the Spanish flu that hit the U.S. back in 1918, 1919. And here we are, 2019, we get hit with the coronavirus, and it's a pandemic just like then. But if you look back, right, when that flu hit, women had these long dresses that went all the way down to their knees, and they had all this frumpy clothes that they wore, and they wore these big hats. So it was really conservative. They hid their bodies, these kind of big bell dresses. And then somehow, just look at the 1920s. All of a sudden, women were wearing short dresses above the knee. They had cleavage, and they called themselves the flappers. So they had a thought culture in the 1920s. And the roaring 20s, you know, we heard the 70s, women said, "Hear me roar," right? I am woman. They were doing that stuff back in the 20s. Those chicks were fancy, free, and loose. And what motivated them, because it was a hell of a leap to go from 1918 to the 1920s to their dress and their attitudes, but the medical profession figured out that women could actually experience pleasure from sexual intercourse or even oral sex, because before they only thought a woman was good for only incubating a man's seed. You impregnate her, she carry it, that's it. Sex was not for a woman's pleasure. But when they discovered the clitoris, man, whew, women went crazy. They shortened their dresses. They wanted to explore their sexual freedom and liberation, and they just went for it. They became the thoughts. That the horror culture was born in the US in the 20s. And a lot of people think it was the 60s. The 1920s was the first sexual revolution. And then that damn stock market crashed in 1929. We went into a depression, and women's dresses went right back down below their calves. And women were, you know, they were back in that conservative position again. They got married. They were good housewives. They knew how to bake. We went to the 40s, 50s. It shortened a tiny bit in the 50s, I think, like just to the knees. And then the 60s, maybe even the late 50s, women went back to that 1920s flappers. They called them beatniks in the 60s. They were beatniks in the late 50s and hippies in the 60s. So it seems like women have always been wanting to release this sexual beast. And if you think about it, guys, we're always told that we're trying to take advantage of women and use them just for sex. Well, when you take release any boundaries on women, it seems like women equate equality with men, any kind of liberation, sexual freedom, power. Somehow women equate that with sex and sexual looseness. And maybe we, you know, from the 20th and the 21st century, maybe we as men are learning exactly why the Greeks put a lid on women. And I wonder, I can't prove it, I wonder if the 1929 stock market crash was a way to get women back in check, because they were out of control in the 20s. I mean, they're much more out of control now. So, you know, we're going to fast forward. I mean, I have a picture, thumbnail for YouTube, and in Facebook, I have a picture of the 1920s. You can see the women, shorter dresses, and, you know, they were dressed very different from 1918. And I also have a picture of the woman who was the president of the NAACP. Now think about it. NAACP was created with Jews and blacks in 1909. And here this woman is the president of the NAACP, and she's out in a strip club putting money in a stripper's G-string. I mean, if that's not condoning it, I guess that's what I was saying. Women equate power and freedom with sexual looseness. So I'm kind of asking a question, but I'm also presenting some facts. So I want to take some calls, and I love when people call in and give their perspective on things. I always like to hear what people have to say. The phone number is 323-642-1387. That's 323-642-1387. So, and YouTube on the chat. So do you all think that women can, do you all think women are by nature, female nature, do you think women are sexually free? Basically, are all women sluts? Are all women whores? So is our whore culture not the result of feminism? It's just that we let women just run. So even Rome, so this is a pattern then. So even Rome dealt with this. Interesting. So maybe this is a thing for men to start thinking about how we raise our daughters, how we engage our sisters, our aunts, grandmother, our mother. I made a video some time ago that talked about the most difficult conversation every man needs to have, and that conversation is with your mother. If you can't put your mother in check, it's going to be very difficult for you to put someone else in check. Right. So no reins and the horse runs wild. She runs free. But, you know, freedom comes with responsibility. And I want to take a call that I don't think women fully understand in their quest for equality with men. It's just never going to happen. Our biology, our biochemistry, even neurochemistry is so different that women actually pay a price. And I want to address that. But let's, okay, in Rome. Right. So, yeah, I mean, is what we're seeing the result of women being free, or are they being reckless? You know, so freedom is one thing, and freedom has a price of its own, which is called a responsibility. And if women are not being responsible and they just call it free, I mean, and we're going to talk about some of the sexual freedom and some of the women who marry one man and get pregnant by another man while she's married and let that guy raise the child. I mean, is that freedom? Is that being sexually free? Or is that something else? So let me take my first call. And let's see, the first call I am going to take from area code 870. 870, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Ted, how's it going, man? This your boy Kendrick from Arkansas.
Hey, Kendrick. Hey, man, how you doing? Thanks for calling in all the way from Arkansas.
Boy, I tell you that this topic is long overdue, Ted.
I know you've been itching for it. So
it's long overdue, cause if you like a couple brothers done probably posted in your chat room, all the way it started, Mr. Ted, all the way back from Sodom and Gomorrah, Rome and Pompeii, Italy, and all them other little places back there in the near distant past. Then we get up here into my town. You know, we just a few years ago we had the slut walk with that Amber Rose, and now all of a sudden we got the Carly B's and the Megan Stallion and all these old crazy looking folk out here now, and they promoting this stuff, man. This whole slutty type of behavior out here in America.
So
men ain't too keen with this stuff.
So you think the U.S. is a whore culture then?
Yes, sir. I believe we the Babylon whore and capital.
So
yes, sir. That's my honest to God opinion.
So how would you respond to women who say you just hate women and you're bitter and you're a He-Man woman hater? How would you respond?
my response is I love me some women. I ain't with that funny stuff.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of sisters and I got a lot of nieces and I have a lot of nephews. But Ted, I come from a big family.
Okay.
But all this other, but the street woman stuff, no. I ain't with it.
So what?
I ain't just trying to put nobody down. But I'm just telling you me.
So what are some of your biggest concerns that you think is that's coming out of a horror culture? Like, so what are one or two obvious things, and then maybe one or two things that are not so obvious that you think are happening?
For one thing, Ted, one of the main things is the emasculation of these boys.
Okay.
And then two, you from then the number two thing, you bring these girls up and they growing up to be whores and slaves. So everybody thinking it's cool all of a sudden. I don't know why that's the new norm. That ain't normal to me, Ted. That's not normal.
So what? I mean, you're saying like you're taking it out of the Bible, Babylon. I mean, this has happened historically. I mean, if we look at the Bible, right? We look at it from a historical perspective. Adam was given domain over woman, over everything, and somehow the woman just didn't care. I mean, so is it the nature of women to ultimately never listen to men? I mean, or are we in another sort of crossroads?
Rebellious state. That's exactly where we at, Ted. We at another rebellious crossroads, just like all those ancient people.
So you think? So is it fair to say women are kind of leading men now?
Repeat that question. I didn't hardly hear you.
Oh, are you? Is it fair to say that women are now leading men, just like Eve led Adam to eat the apple? Are we back at that history repeating itself?
I believe so. It's only, but to a degree, Ted, only a weak-minded man probably fall under it.
Okay.
I would say that a blue pill simp, somebody who don't care, he'll probably fall to it.
Right.
He'll fall prey to it.
So, yeah, I mean, someone Tech with Ben said they're leading men now, and it's not working. Hey, hold right there, Kendrick. Go ahead, say that. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it is a scripture in there somewhere that them women weren't supposed to be leading up on nobody. It was supposed to be the men who was supposed to be out front, Ted, but some kind of way we done got this thing twisted. Down through the millennia, we done got this thing twisted some kind of way.
So we're gonna have to address that too tonight. All right. Hold 1 second. I want to bring in another caller here. I want to bring in area code 609. 609, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from? 609.
Peace, Ted. This is Anthony Knox. How you brothers been doing?
Hey, brother. Hey, thanks for calling in, Anthony Knox. What's going on?
Yeah, what I want to say is, what the brother that just spoke.
Right.
I'm in complete agreement with him.
Okay.
And another thing is that our women in particular, they have no respect for marriage. As a matter of fact, I think I told you the last time I was on the show that I was having trouble in my marriage.
I remember.
So right now, as a matter of fact, I feel great. Right now, we separated for 3 weeks now.
All right, good.
And I feel a whole lot better. I feel a whole lot better. But what we're gonna have to do, especially as black men, all men on the whole, but as black men, we're gonna have to, moving forward, dealing with women, we're gonna have to hold them accountable, and start making them adhere to a code of conduct. You know, the whole black community needs to start, embrace a code of conduct, because we don't have a code of conduct, but our women are completely out of line. Completely out of line, and what the brother just said about the women following us, that's completely true. They don't. It's like we've fallen from grace so hard that we find ourselves trying to please our women. This is not what this shit is supposed to be.
Thanks.
So then you have to ask then, if men were leading, did men fall asleep at the wheel? You know, and I know a lot of people have different opinions about the Bible and Adam and Eve, but I just want to keep it with that. So, you know, is it, and I know you can't watch someone 24/7 every second of the day, but did Adam kind of fall asleep on Eve and she just exploited him falling asleep? So is that sort of analogous to what has happened with men? Because when I started this show, I talked about in the 1920s, you know, if you look at the way women dressed in the United States in 1918, when they started that whole feminism and wanting the right to vote, if you look at women back then, their dresses went all the way down to their ankles. They were like flat. They had a bunch of stuff underneath them. And those women had their bodies covered up, their breasts, their dress. They wore big hats. Women were covered up. And then now you figure, you figure they dressed like that in 1918. Just imagine 1918. Then all of a sudden, bang. And by the early 20s, they were wearing short skirts above their knees, almost mini skirts. They had low cleavage, and they called themselves flappers. They were basically party girls. They were the thoughts of the 1920s. You had the Roaring 20s, and they were thotting it up. They were loose, fancy free. They were whores. So the whore culture, the whore culture was born in the 20s. It got shut down. What were you gonna say, Kendrick?
But if you look back at the 20s, if you notice that a lot of them women that you discussing now, the only way you could see a half-naked woman back in them days, but it's burlesque house, at the girls' house and all that kind of place.
No, but they had speakeasies. They started dressing. Women walking down the street. So they went from 1918 to then the early 20s. Like there was no transition of the dresses getting shorter. It was like basically overnight. And I understand the burlesque, but what one of the things that happened in the 20s, there was a sexual revolution. And the medical profession learned that the woman's clitoris was only designed for one thing, which was pleasure. So women really exploited that, because before, the way women were treated in the US or Europe, when it came to sex, men didn't see women as having pleasure during sex. Women were only there to take a man's seed, incubate it, and give birth. And then when the medical profession figured out, the clitoris is there to have just for pleasure, women can have pleasure too, women just went wild with that. So they shortened their dresses, they partied, and we had a whole new culture, the Roaring 20s. They were party girls. So even walking down the street, Kendrick, women wore very different clothes in 1925 than they wore in 1918. It was just a huge transformation. Well, it was a quantum leap, like overnight. So we really inherited that culture, years down the line by the 1960s or late 50s.
Let me ask you this,
much of that is, European culture.
Well, even Europe was covering their women up in the 1918s. Oh, women were covered up. What it was that sexual liberation and they partied. The only thing that shut it down was the stock market crashed in 1929, and the country went into a depression, and party days were gone, and women needed to get their asses married so they could eat, because they, even though they were voting, there were not many jobs out there. People were standing on soup lines.
Yeah, I'm not. As far as like Renaissance culture and things of that nature, I'm not really well versed. But what I do know is, as a matter of fact, as of recently, I communicate with this sister from Africa. Now, my wife is her family's from Africa, but she was born here, so she pretty much acts like she's an American because she was born here, and a lot of her ways is like that. Now, I was talking to this sister that lives in Nigeria, and I asked her, because my wife has male friends, but I really never have liked that. But me being a fool, I accepted it. But I've been talking to a lot of people, especially people that are from Africa that were born there. Okay. And I asked them, I asked this sister, I asked her, are women allowed, which I already know the answer, but are women allowed to have male friends, in your country? And she said, hell fucking no. Especially after you get married, all that shit is dead.
My ex, bro.
She's from, this sister's from Nigeria.
Do you happen to know, you don't happen to know if she's been cut, do you?
Well, my wife, no, my wife never been cut. I know what you're talking about. Her mother was, and she was going to perform that ceremony on her, but she never did.
Man, let me ask you this. I wonder, do you think we wouldn't see a whole lot of this harsh behavior in our community, in the black community in America, if that procedure would have been performed on a lot of these women? Because they say they do it to keep them women over there from experiencing pleasure.
I've given that some thought, but that particular custom, that's an Arab custom that was brought to Africa. That's not even originally something that's African.
Right.
So it's not so. Yeah. So the act of promiscuity is not so much a problem in Africa as it is here. It's because of taking on European way of life.
Right.
I was just wondering, since you said you dealt with you married to an African, because I done did some research on it, and they talking about certain females from Kenya and Nigeria and a couple of other African countries. They perform those type of ceremonies on their girls at a certain age.
Yeah, like I said, my wife's mother, they're in this. It's a secret society, and her mother had it done when she was a child. But my wife's wasn't. She was going to do it to my wife and her sister, but she never did it. But that's an Arab custom. But it's the problem. The problem that we have in here in the States is because we've taken on the European way of life.
Well,
I feel.
Well,
I feel.
I want to take another caller, but I spoke to an older Muslim guy from Syria, Orthodox Muslim, and he was telling me that as far as Islam, Muhammad saved them. He said that they drank alcohol like crazy, especially the men, before Muhammad, He said it was normal to rape women. Women were promiscuous. And he said the Arabic women, their clit is so big that when they wore pants, when they walked around, the pants was constantly rubbing their clit, and it aroused them, and their husband would be at work, so the wife would end up having affairs because she was all hot and bothered, just because her clit was much larger than most women in the world, so it was getting stimulated. So they didn't know what to do, so they started cutting it. And then when Muhammad came, he shut all that behavior down. He said women used to be out in their garden walking around naked with no clothes. He said it was just out of control. So, you're saying European. I see what I'm trying to get at is this just in women? Because the Muslims understood what happened if you take the leash off the dog and let it run in the park, it's going to grow crazy.
Well, I don't know everything. So, but what I will say is, women, what we are starting to find out is that women, they are a bit more promiscuous than what we've ever thought.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I want. Part of what I want to get at. Right. They've convinced men that men are using women for sex. What if you let a woman run loose, she's gonna really show you what a sex drive is about.
Yeah. No, they got us fucked up, man.
Yep.
I'm telling you, this shit is crazy.
Hey, hold on. Let me bring in another caller. I want to bring in area code 940. 940, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Sean, and I'm from Texas.
Hey, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for calling in, man. So what do you think? Has the U.S. become a whore culture?
I would say so. A lot of it comes from their egos are being boosted like exponentially by one thirsty cents and dude just going for pump and dumps. And that would be like the 20% and all that good stuff. And it boosts their ego and it feeds into narcissism. And by nature, women are inherently narcissistic as it is.
Okay.
So
you hear it on the
that plus on top of that, I was born in the 80s. I've had the luxury of I sit back and observe and watch and do a lot of reflection on what's going on, stuff like that. So I've watched, like, I want to say it's the 90s. It kind of started picking up with like music videos where it became more mainstream and mainly the rap hip hop culture, where it started glamorizing the promiscuousness.
Okay.
There were other elements too, but like we're right now, like I posted on your Facebook comment, we're essentially balls deep in the second sexual revolution from the third wave feminist movement.
Okay.
Where they essentially said we should be able to act like the men we're complaining about anyway, because equality.
Interesting.
And plus you have birth control, which gives them no fear of pregnancy anymore. So that gives them free reign. And if they do get pregnant, you have abortion, which, boom, that just enforces it even more. You have all these medications. God knows what they do to people, the antidepressants and all those antipsychotic medications and stuff. God knows what they do to people. I've had some serious side effects from it. And you got all that just culminating together, plus hypersexuality really kicking in the 2000s, I would say. I noticed it a lot, especially when I was in the Navy. I saw a lot of married men on deployment cheating on their wives and all that good stuff. And it just... And then you have the empowering, saying it's empowering to control your sexuality. And it is, but we've learned there's consequences that come with that. You have STDs. We're rampant in single motherhood right now.
Right.
And one of the things I kind of noticed from Christianity, like the Old Testament was more of like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. They were very polyamorous. And when you look at the New Testament, I want to say that was steering it more. They steered more away from that kind of culture.
Yes,
it took us away from that barbaric type where the eye for an eye, where in the New Testament where Jesus said, basically turn the other cheek, it essentially it means don't stoop to their level.
Yeah. So are you saying women tried to be more like men, or are you saying something else?
They are trying to be exactly like us while trying to benefit from the privileges of being a woman. And they got Big Daddy government standing behind them with that gun pointed right at our heads on top of it. So they have all of this boosting their egos, and they have no fear.
They get to walk the fence.
And as long as they have the government taking care of them through like welfare programs and all these other programs and stuff, it won't get any better. Well, I think.
Even affirmative action.
Because they've gone from having to rely on us to, and I'm all for women working, but with them working, that gives them incentive not to need us either.
Right. Well, that was one of the things that, in the 1920s, when they had the right to vote in 1918, they changed the way they dressed. They became more promiscuous. That was really when the whore culture started in the U.S. The only thing that stopped them was the stock market crashing and having the whole world go through a Great Depression.
Yeah, because they realized they couldn't go out and do that anymore.
When they couldn't survive without men, they needed men.
They had to find someone to lock down.
Exactly.
To take care of them.
Exactly.
And the way things looking, gentlemen, I believe we headed right back to that because they already talking about that these folks trying to abolish the dollar and trying to put us back on the gold standard. If you don't have no gold and silver, you basically screwed.
So
who's gonna take a lot of them ran through that? You got to look at all this.
I control most of the gold.
Right.
Big Daddy government.
I ain't gonna lie to you, I ain't got no gold. So I got a few pieces of silver in there, but come on now, y'all. Let's be for real.
I should have took some of that money from Corona chance and put it towards some gold.
What? Say that again?
Exactly.
I said I have gold, but I'm not going to share it. I don't have a whole lot.
I got what you're saying. Right.
In the past couple of years, but I'm not going to share it with a woman that doesn't deserve it.
Understood. Hey, let me take another call here. So wait, just everyone hold right there. I want to take a call from area code 848. 848, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
All right, what's up, Fed? This is Dwayne. How you doing?
Hey, Dwayne. Hey, thanks for calling, man.
Yeah, well, so far these guys are all over the place. I don't even know where to begin at. It's like we went from your third guy from Texas. He talked about he was in the Navy, but do you know when the captain, when he was in Somalia, they hijacked the ship and took them hostage? You know who gave the order to shoot the people that hijacked the ship? It was a woman. Okay, and I want to make a correction. On Africa. One of the other guy that said Africa was a country. It's not a country; it's a continent. So if you're gonna come out,
that wasn't me.
Yeah, no, I know, but also I'm gonna bring up another. Well, you said you just separated from your wife, and it's separation been 3 weeks, and you category like if it was all women that have issues, maybe it was it was just your wife you had the issue with. You can't blame all women, and
No, I don't blame all women. It could have been something I did too. It's a two-way street,
well,
but,
you said
you know.
but you said black women, so unless you dated all black women, throughout the country, you can't say that. Just, all right. But to get back far as like with women and their clitoris, I think it was in one of, I forget what country it was a country, but it was in Africa, and these women were forced to get their clitoris cut so they don't have no feelings in it. That's why.
Well,
so when a man have sex with them, when
Right.
a man have sex with that woman, they don't have any feelings. And one of the women came here to this country and talked about it. And this was like, I guess it was like 2000, maybe early mid 1990s. She talked about that country, what they did. When they were young, they cut the clitoris so this way they don't have feelings. And personally, I don't want a woman that I got to control. I want her to be a thinker. I don't need a woman that's going to listen to everything I say because I could be wrong. So I need a woman that's going to be there for me, that she's a thinker. She's also strong, and if she has a career, I'm okay with that because all it does is generate income. We should be worried about wealth, how to generate wealth, not bashing women on just because they may have a strong mind. Each generation's supposed to get better and better.
So how many? Go ahead.
Dwayne, my reason for saying that is because to a certain degree now all the characteristics that you just stated in women, that's my wife. She's a nurse. She's strong-minded.
I remember you.
She's a wonderful woman, but she doesn't listen. You can't always know everything. Me as a man, I do a lot of reading. I study. My way of life, I've been practicing for a while, and I wouldn't lead my family in any direction that I thought would hurt us. You know what I mean?
I remembered you because I spoke to you and I said, I called in and I said, try to work it out, I'm pretty sure that was you, right?
Yeah, that was me.
Right, because you're both from
you
Newark.
You wanted to get into like different business. You wouldn't support you, but I'm not gonna go deep into it, the conversation. But I do remember.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that, that's not really her thing, and that's fine. But if you want a better, if you want a better life, your spouse is supposed to support you to some degree.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And women on a whole, for men to lead them, there's going to be times that they're not going to understand everything. You understand? I mean, you can't.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, because leading and building a nation takes taking risks sometimes, and taking risks, you're not always going to know the outcome.
Well, when you're in business, you're always you're going to make mistakes, and when you're getting into business, especially if you're an entrepreneur, and you're
but not just in business, but in life period. You know what I mean? Part of being a man is taking the risks that other men won't take in order to fulfill a better life for your family. That's why, and I don't want to get into race or anything, but that's why other races are far ahead of us, because they're willing to take risks.
Well,
They're willing to take risks that a lot of us don't take.
Well, here and that's true, but I see a change now as far as like risk taking. Okay, there is a change now, and the thing is, you may have a certain amount of black people, because you can't say all, but let me tell you, I see them getting into the stock market. Just a couple of weeks ago when Trump mentioned about what was it? Oh my gosh, I just got a brain fart. When he mentioned about
hey, Dwayne.
He mentioned
Dwayne, what?
He mentioned.
Go ahead. Say. I need you to say it quickly. Go ahead.
It starts with a C. Kodak. He mentioned Kodak, right? And the Kodak stock went up real high. I mean, now it's like, people. If you brought it cheap, let's say you spent $500, you probably would have made about $2,000 off that stock, short term. So, and this is things we got to do. We have to get educated. We got to stop being critical and start being thinkers.
So let's get involved in it. All right, wait. I want to keep the conversation on point. So I want to bring some facts, some scientific facts in here. So what studies say is that men and women are not equal. There's just no way. The biology of a man is different from the biology of a woman, and the biology of a man it allows a man, or it forces him almost. That's the wrong word, but it allows a man to take risks that women would get away from, because women will avoid stress. The way a woman's biochemistry is made up, it will cause a woman to avoid stress. And the same stress for a woman is not for a man. That is, when you look at managers in a workplace, the one thing that men excel much more than women as managers is the ability to handle problems. Women fail badly in that area compared to men. And handling problems is a major role for a manager. But I'm saying this for a bigger reason. When women have sex with too many men, her biochemistry doesn't handle it like a man does. And it literally creates emotional instability for the woman. So I think a lot of women do not understand this, and they've been told that they can do whatever men can do, and they believe, women have been taught to believe all men are promiscuous and men like to go out and have that men only want one thing. So according to studies, when a woman has sex with 6 different men, she's 3 times less likely to be in an emotionally stable relationship. So her biochemistry doesn't support it. So we as men, when you're raising your daughter, when you have sisters, your mother, maybe they don't understand these things. Like Anthony, you were saying, there may be things women don't always understand, and you want to lead them down a path, and they may not understand until it's too late. So what I'm putting on the table is, so the question is, has the U.S. become a whore culture? And if it's common for women to have sex with more than 6 men, then what's going to be the psychological, physical, and mental impact on the woman and society?
Yes, sir. And I don't think nobody want to take time and think that real through. And thirdly, it's a spiritual aspect of what you're talking about as well. They got soul ties.
Oh, sorry. Well, sex in its essence is a bonding, is more of a bonding thing, and its like deepest essence is what it is. And for every partner that she has, she's bonding with that male. So she loses a little bit of her with every guy that she sleeps with. Because our body is a temple, and when you treat it like community pool, it just it don't work.
Let me ask you something. The guy from Texas,
Yes, sir.
You say, are you religious or?
I have followed. I'm a spiritual person. I guess you could say I teeter towards Christianity, but I grew up with a religious family, and my grandma is one of the people that I really looked up to, and she heard me bragging to one of my friends one day that I was going to try and see 3 girls at the same time. She sat me down and said, "Sean, don't be a hoe. Hoes have no value, and you have value." And it stuck with me, and
that was a choice that you made because your grandmother gave you that advice. Okay,
right.
Women have a choice, men have a choice, because
yes,
the men that are sleeping with these women, they made a choice, and not only that, if they know she's a hoe, of course, everybody want to sleep. Everybody want to sleep with her. We all were young. We all, went after.
Right, but it comes down to these guys that are out there just sleeping around and not committing to any of these women, or tagging these girls, or going after these women too, and it's screwing up the entire dating market for people that are actually wanting to form a relationship and stuff like that. And it leaves them because they're thinking, "Ooh, I've got this hot guy. He's interested in me," and come to find out, he's got 3 or 4 other girls he's stringing along, and he cuts her loose, and that's emotional damage right there. And the more that happens, then they start generalizing. Then you get all men are the same trouble.
And then, like you said, like you said, the guy got game. Let's say the guy got game. He's got 4 or 5 different women, so that means he got game. So he's telling this woman, "Hey, listen, I'm into you, I'm feeling you," or whatever love talk he talks. She's falling.
He's emotionally manipulating.
But that's not. Yeah, but you can't blame the woman for that. You got to blame the guy.
You blame both parties because she allowed it to happen. She is the gatekeeper to sex, bro.
And we the gatekeeper.
That is the thing.
Listen, we all listen. Everybody.
And I grew up in a time where it was no glove, no love.
In the 80s, it was always sex. And as far as like those videos, it didn't start with the rap. It started with rock and roll.
It started with rock. Like I said, there were other elements. Yeah. Well, sex ed.
Yeah. Sex sells.
But
when you had Christian rap, okay, and I don't know if you ever heard of any of them, but if you got Christian rappers rapping about Christ and everything, Jesus, but yet they don't give them the opportunity, you won't hear them on the radio.
You'll might hear mainstream.
So here's where let me just say this. Here's where a difference occurs. There's studies that say men need to have sex with 23 different women to keep a healthy prostate long term. If a woman has sex if she marries as a virgin, she has over a 90% chance of a successful marriage. If a woman has sex and then marries that guy, she still has over a 90% chance. And if a woman has sex with one guy and then marries the second guy, she still has it's about a 90% chance of success. The more different men a woman has sex with, the less likely she has a successful marriage. And when the numbers hit like
Yes, sir.
10, the her ability to keep a successful marriage is really bad. So a woman is not made to do that. That's really what so the cost is much higher for women. She's going to be much less valuable physically and emotionally. And everyone hold on, because I want to bring someone else in this. Area code 919. You're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is Richard in Durham. How's it doing tonight?
Going on?
All right. How's it going, Richard? Thanks for calling.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Great.
How are you doing?
Good. Great. Good. Glad to hear that.
So what do you think? We're asking a question. We're asking a question.
Uh-huh.
Has the U.S. become a whore culture? So we've got, we're getting some a variety of responses here, and I'm saying I'm looking strictly from a scientific and historical perspective. I have no horse in this race. I don't want to be as cold and say I don't care, but in a way I don't. But I want to look at the facts. I'm looking at the facts. So are women paying a price if they're promiscuous? Or is it just really a man's fault for being a player and having game and tricking women into having sex? And I'm not
trying to be dense or anything, but can you guys explain? I mean, not explain, but define what a slut is. I mean, there's a lot of different definitions. What's a slut?
A woman that gives it up for easy to anybody, but makes another dude work for it.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, but you know what?
A woman who gives it to anybody, but makes another dude work for it.
We're hung up on
work for it, like jump through hoops and shit. Excuse my life. Sorry about that. I probably shouldn't cuss.
Right.
You're okay, man. You're okay.
Listen,
We all men.
I don't want to get him demonetized. I just found this guy not too long ago, and I like him.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That is that's interesting. Don't let Chris be on here.
Chris, let them know you're here. Chris, let them know you're here.
Chris is on here, you jackass. You know what? We're too hung up on virgins. A man wants a virgin. And Teddy, what you read, I think it's wrong. I know people that got married to a virgin, and now like this one guy I know. He said, "Oh, my wife was the virgin. She ended up leaving him. Maybe he wasn't fucking her right, but then he said, well, she regretted leaving me. It was the worst thing that ever happened. But she's still with the same guy that she left him with over 20-something years ago."
Well, let me.
So as far as like
no, Dwayne.
Hey, let me give you a point.
No, hold, Chris.
You also had. Well, if they get herpes, that's their business. Just don't fuck them. That's all. But the thing is, you also have where women who are promiscuous turn out probably end up being one of the best wives. You can't go by whatever you're reading. I don't know the information you're reading.
But
it's an age-old thing.
But I know
you can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
What's your name, is Bill?
Well, it can be done, Dwayne. It can be done.
Dwayne.
A hoe can be a good housewife, and a good housewife can become the hoe.
And she's gonna be sucking that man's dick while you're at work.
Listen, that's all right. It ain't none of my business. I can care less what she does.
It should be if you're with her. I don't condone sharing.
If I'm not gonna. Yeah, but if I'm not going to be with it,
hey, Sean.
Relationship, it is what it is.
Hey, Sean, he's up. Let one person talk at a time. We have too many people talking simultaneously. So let me here's a.
can't measure.
All right, so let me just
Can't measure.
hey, hold on. Here's what I'm saying, Dwayne. They didn't say that it's 100% for anything. They said statistically, women who married as a virgin had the highest chance of remaining married. The more men a woman had sex with, the less likely her marriage would be successful. When you look at the neuroscientists and the doctors, what they find is what Sean was saying. There's emotional trauma when a woman bonds and then she breaks. She keeps doing that, and it damages her emotionally. She brings emotional instability, which makes a unstable relationship, which ends an unstable marriage. So it's not 100%. What I also said, the woman who marries the second guy also has over 90%. So you just supported that. The woman was a virgin. She divorced the first guy and stayed with the second guy. But that's still over 90%. Right. She's still in that she's supporting the statistic. Right. So, but the thing is, women go through different kind of changes because they have oxytocin and they get addicted to this dopamine high. This is a big problem, and men and women are not equal. If you look at nature, men were made to be able to impregnate a bunch of different women and be emotionally stable. Women can only be impregnated by one guy, and she has to wait 9 months. Nature didn't make her to have a bunch of different babies with different men. And there's something called microchimerism, where the man's DNA from his sperm stays in a woman and it goes into her brain. And these are all medical scientific facts that women have to deal with. And if they ignore them, they pay a price, and all of society is paying for it. And I want to hear from Chris now.
Okay, I just have a few points to bring up. Can you hear me, Ted?
Absolutely.
All right, I just got a few points I want to bring up. Number one, someone brought up clit removal and how that would be a bad thing. Well, because it's a genital mutilation. Well, no one ever brings that up when it comes to men. When
exactly.
It comes to circumcision regarding men.
Exactly.
The circumcision regarding men it's done to desensitize the penis for sex. So why is it okay to do it to little boys but not do it to girls? When it's done to boys, the boys grow up to be more responsible than the girls, because remember, these girls get pregnant, and the first thing they do is go to the state with their hand out looking for some sort of assistance, or they want child support because they made a mistake. They can't accept the responsibility of their actions. That's number one. Number two, the responsibility of sex. Why is it that you guys sit here and say that it's because these men are players and blah, 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 as if that woman is not making a conscious decision to have sex herself, as if she doesn't enjoy sex herself. Remember, women decide who gets sex. Men decide who gets the wedding ring. So you guys are sitting up here. Spewing nothing but a bunch of simple bullshit. Number three, the teen pregnancy rate. Ted, you talked about what are some of the repercussions of it, and are they suffering? Yes, the teen pregnancy rate. The teen pregnancy rate is one of them. Now, it's hold on a minute, I got to pull it up. In 2017, which is the last stat, because they haven't got the data from 18 yet, and 19. But among black women, black teens, it was 27.6%. Hispanic teens, 28.9%. White teens, 13.4%. Now, I don't know if you ever heard a show called Teen Mom, but it's a show about these white girls getting pregnant.
Perpetuated it.
Now, well, it's not really perpetuated because there's still the lowest number of teens getting pregnant. As a matter of fact, that's the only reason why they have a TV show.
Well, hey Chris, they didn't put Asians? You don't have Asians there?
No, they didn't cover Asians.
Because Asians,
because it's pretty much when it comes to Asians, it pretty much just doesn't happen.
It's like 3 or 4% for Asians.
Yeah, it's the number for Asian teens getting pregnant is so low, it's not even worth mentioning. And
that comes down to both parents being kind of in control of who their daughter interacts with and stuff like that too. Like traditionally, the father was the one that determined.
Stop.
Yes, sir.
The problem is these girls are being raised by single mothers.
Exactly.
Single mothers produce single mothers.
Exactly. The father was the one that determined who the daughter. He was the strong determiner of who the daughter saw, who the daughter married, and all that aspect. And when you get the father out of there, because we can see, for the most part, a guy's true intention, because we know how men think.
Hey, Sean, let him finish. He's laying out some stats. Let him finish this.
Also, society profits from women being whores. The number one goal, men are the bread earners in society, right? And as long as they can, the government can make a wage slave out of a man, basically get the man to support the state via child support. Because child support is not a payment to a woman, it's a payment to the state. That's why men go to jail for not paying child support. Because if it was just them owing that woman money, they couldn't lock him up for that. But it's the man owing the state money. So society is profiting off of women being whores. That women are easier to manipulate. If you make them feel empowered, you let them be whores, they'll go out here, they'll be, as promiscuous as they want, and you can still manipulate them out of their money easily. Way easier than you can a man. You brought up pair bonding. These women don't understand that after they let 5 men ejaculate into them, just 5 men, they are no longer suitable for marriage. Their mind, their mentality, the chemical neurons in their brain will fight against the idea of bonding to one man because they have all this male DNA that has been genetically imposed on their own. So, like you said, a little bit of their DNA, that male DNA, it sticks to their own. It actually changes their own DNA. So now they have all this male DNA inside their body competing against each other. That's why they always say, I need a big dick. Well, they get a guy with a big dick and they still cheat on him. Why? Because one man can no longer satisfy them after 5 sexual partners.
And Chris.
Yeah. And hold on, Kendrick.
Hey, someone has some paper rustling. Someone has paper rustling in the background. You got to chill with that. Or go on mute.
The last one I'm gonna mention. The last one I'm gonna mention is the rate of STDs. The rate of STDs among women, black women versus black men, it's 3 times higher. HIV is 3 times higher in black women than it is black men. For white women, it's like white women. I think white women and white men are. We're talking about heterosexuals still. We're talking about gays. White men and white women are pretty much neck and neck, but their numbers are fairly low compared to the African American community. But yeah, that's another thing. The STD rates skyrocket when when women had this sexual liberation culture. It's done nothing but damage women, and you got guys on this phone sitting here blaming men. No, it's not men's fault. These women are making a conscious decision to be whores, and they just refuse to accept responsibility for it. And it's doing nothing but hurting them. And we're not even going to talk about all the drug and alcohol use that they become dependent on because of it. See, they spout all this, I'm strong and independent and all this bullshit, while they're being whores during the day in front of everybody. But when they go home at night, they're miserable and they're turning to drugs and alcohol to cope with that pain. And I'm done.
I blame both parties on it because both parties made the conscious decision.
Chris knocked it the fuck out the park.
Well,
yeah, you there?
Was that Anthony? What did you ask, Chris?
No.
And Anthony, I want to say something to you, Anthony. Now you talked about you just separated from your wife, and you're thinking about pursuing business ventures. Let me tell you. Let me give you a word of advice. Do not start any of those business ventures until after you're divorced, because if you start them before, she may be entitled to some of that money, and which she didn't help you build any of the empire you plan on starting. But If you start that before you get divorced, she's gonna have her hand in your pockets.
Okay.
So get your business plan together. Get your business plan together. Do all your research and everything. And day after, matter of fact, when you leave the courthouse, the day you get your divorce, that's when you start your plan. Put your plan in action. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it an hour before.
All right. Yeah, I'll take that into consideration. I had another one of my what I had been planning on doing, which is protecting my whatever I'm doing, protecting it in a trust. So I would only do it if I set up, which I'm going to do, protect my businesses within a trust. So that
it doesn't matter if you start anything before you get divorced. She's gonna be entitled to some of it once you get divorced.
Well, I think he needs to speak to an attorney and an accountant, because that is one of the things when you hear about these trust fund babies. If a woman divorces a trust fund baby, she cannot go after his money in the trust.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit down with somebody, but my trust is going to be the trust that I set up is going to be within a secure party, private status. So that but I'm in agreement with what Chris says. Do whatever I need to do to protect my assets.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, so he's absolutely right.
But yeah, I hope I answered some of your questions regarding the topic, Ted.
Oh yeah.
Ted,
Go ahead.
it's here regarding to what you and Chris were talking about as far as all the multiple DNAs in these women. And you know me, I come from scripture, Ted. About the microtransferism you were talking about.
Right.
The scripture says, no nurse, when a man joined with a prostitute, they should both become one flesh. Both of them, that means automatically says every time that woman have ungodly sex with that man, they automatically become married. Soul, man, body, and spirit, they're all that entwined, man.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
And they not even thinking about that.
Sex doesn't affect men the way it does women.
Women
get emotionally. Women get
I
emotionally.
don't know about that.
Women get emotionally bonded to a man when they have sex. A man can just see a woman who has some big titties or a nice ass, and he just thinks, "I want to fuck her." Once he fucks her, that's it. Once he gets that release, that's it. As a matter of fact, once we get that release, we actually hate that woman. We actually don't want to be around that woman anymore. We want her fucking gone.
So,
where's that woman?
That Tommy Law, so for her to sit up there and call, so for them to call us trash, they done lost their man. Cause you, like you said, you chose to open your legs and sleep wherever you done lay up with. So accept the consequence. Don't be crying over no spilled milk.
and Sean, it is not the same. So there's a neurochemical called oxytocin. It's secreted from your pituitary gland in your brain, right? That's your sex gland.
Yeah.
And it secretes
Men
oxytocin.
produce it too.
Right, but men produce significantly less oxytocin than women. Women secrete it. Part of it is when she has a child, right? When it even goes into her uterus. But when she breastfeeds, the stimulation of her nipples causes a huge secretion of oxytocin, and when she comes during sex, even more. So women bond a lot faster. Testosterone actually blocks the flow of oxytocin for men. So men just don't bond the same. Like nature set it up that way originally. Right. And so I'm going to say something that's cold. If women, so when you hear about these post-mortem women and they killed their children, it's because they don't have the proper secretion of oxytocin and some other biochemicals, and they don't bond with their children. They can easily abandon and kill them. So nature set up women so that she is forced to bond with her children and take care of them to support the perpetuation of species. So people always say it's love, the mother loves. It's really nature forcing women through some neurochemicals to bond. It's not as much as love as people think. Even between a man and woman, it's just biochemical secretions that feel good. Dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin.
That's right. That's all it is.
Chemical reactions.
The
There
feel
is no
good.
such thing.
The feel good
There
drug.
is no such things as love. That shit
It's
is
a feeling.
a damn lie that they've been
It's a feeling.
for years.
So if women didn't have oxytocin, they wouldn't care about their children.
No.
Or if it's been burnt out, then they're totally incapable of caring at all.
Now you see right. This is what Chris is saying, that if women abuse sex and then they traumatize the brain where the oxytocin no longer flows the way it did, she won't even bond with a man or even her children. She could even be abusive to her children, abandon or kill them.
Ted, it's like a crackhead, right? That first high, they get high that first time, and then they spend the rest of their life chasing that first high. but they never get there. They never get there. But all they do is just do more and more damage to their bodies, trying to. They have to use more and more crack, but they never experience that first high again.
Yeah, I guess that's why they say you don't want to deal with a woman 35 years and older, but now it's earlier and earlier.
That's why you should. That's why you
happening earlier.
That's why you should. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't date women over 30 or women or single mothers, because they've already, as a single mother, they've already let a man ejaculate into. So now you're, no matter what you do, in her mind, that other man's DNA is imprinted on her in her brain. So no matter what you do, she's always going to compare you to him. So you are no longer your own individual. You are just a reminder of him.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, bro. You hit the nail on the head.
And yo, you know what, Chris? I met my wife when she was 35. And a few years after our marriage, that was always in the back of my head, because I knew exactly what we were talking about tonight, about the chemical reactions that a woman soaks into her DNA from other men. I had been learning that. And I always, that shit always was in the back of my mind. And now I experienced it firsthand. It's crazy. It really is.
It is.
Hey, Ted, do you have me in?
Yeah, you're in, Reg. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. I was just listening. You can just let me know when I can throw my little two cents.
Go ahead. Spotlight's on you.
Hey, I just want to say, how you gentlemen doing? Hey, Chris, you're spot on.
Yo.
You batting 1,000 over there, homie. So I agree with everything that you're saying. I just want to come in. Rich asked a question about what a slut is. So a slut is a chick who just loves having sex. That's it. She's a little different from a whore, because a whore is always trying to gain something, getting something. A slut is just like a nymphomaniac. She just wants to fuck. She just enjoys sex. So that's what a slut is, Richard. Okay. Now, as far as this country being a whore culture, yes, of course it is, because it's profitable. It's profitable. And once they discovered what can be generated by the whore culture, with its influence on other women, and just the overall breakdown. Once they start doing the numbers, I guess what you want to say, it started with a Destiny Child and some of that, all of that. So they just started just feeding off of that. So that's basically what it is. And if you keep saying, my belief is, like I said, female nature has not changed since the very beginning. and they're whores. But now, with the system behind them, the government behind them, it's been unleashed. They just free to just let their biological makeup run wild. Now, is it good? No, because of everything that you gentlemen have been speaking about earlier and stuff. You know, the fall off behind it. Is she really not designed, you know, like a man to, you know, for this and the detriment that it's having as far as on society. So, you know, with the whoredom going, it just, you know, a whore and a slut is, you know, all she's gonna have, you know, is, you know, her, you know, she has kids or her daughters, and particularly, what can she teach them? But what she knows, you know.
Hey, Rich, I get what you said. A slut is. What did you say a whore was again?
A slut with extra steps.
A whore is what every woman who's ever walked this planet is. Okay, a whore is looking to gain something monetarily or tangibly from having sex. Okay, she's not parting her legs unless there's some benefit beyond an orgasm. You know, she got to get more than an orgasm. Actually, a whore she's not in it to get an orgasm. She's in it to gain something tangible. A slut, she just likes fucking. She just likes fucking. She just likes it. She's into it. She really don't care who it is.
Ted, I saw a meme on Facebook one time, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And it was a quote from I think it was a fictitious quote from Confucius. I'm pretty sure he never said this, but it was just funny reading the meme. And it said, you know, it was a woman asking Confucius, why is a man who sleeps with a bunch of women considered, like, why is he held in high regard versus a woman sleeping with a bunch of men looked down upon? And he said, Confucius say, a key that opens a bunch of locks.
Right.
A master lock.
Right.
But a lock that will open for any key is useless.
I saw that. Yeah, that was perfect.
And that's a slut. That's a slut right there.
So go ahead. Someone has some background conversations going on. Yeah, I can hear it. So can you go on mute? Or maybe you have your maybe it's your computer. You're listening on the computer. You need to turn the volume down.
Hold on, wait, I'm outside. A bunch of crickets just chirping. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, but I hear some talking. I think it might be someone listening to the show and the volume of the show. Yeah. Maybe you're on your phone and listening to the show on your computer. Turn the computer down.
My stuff's muted.
Oh yeah. So and about the more sexual partners or her experiences that she's had, that's spot on. And I know about that firsthand because I've been through quite a few women, and I've seen quite a bit. So I mean, but you know, like as far as what your intentions is, because I'm like Ted, I really don't care at this point. You know, I don't care. But for some of you guys who's looking to start a family and build this and do all of that, you know, these are all things you need to know.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to bring something to your attention that I know you're probably not aware of. But
what's that?
About 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know, over there in Egypt, they had 2 women over there that was posing in a music video, and they were shaking their butt, pretty provocative. And those 2 women got fined over $20,000.
Wow.
And they got thrown in jail. They're actually doing 2 years in jail too.
That's right. They got 2 years. No. It was 3 women. Hey, a couple of women went on social media and was doing things that they didn't like over that country, and they gave their ass 2 years in prison. And then there's a lady. Don't have to start doing. Right. Wait a minute. And then there was a black woman in Ghana over there doing something that she wasn't supposed to be doing on social media and shit. They pulled her. What is her green card? whatever it is for her to stay over there. They pulled her visa and told her to get the hell out.
Hey, yo, remember I told you I'm in communication with this sister from Nigeria.
Right.
She watches reality shows, but she told me that because I asked her, I said, there's a lot of the stuff in the reality shows in Nigeria go on like it does in America. She said no, because according to our cultural laws, we can't do that.
Let me tell you something. She's lying. She's lying. As a matter of fact, Nigerian women are getting just as bad as American black women. So she's lying. They are idolized. That's the reason why she's watching those shows. She's watching those. Now, let me ask you this: if she wasn't interested in that sort of behavior, if that sort of behavior was repulsive to her, why would she be watching a show that exhibit that behavior?
Because they like.
I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna say.
I don't know because I ain't sitting there watching them with her, but I
hold on. Yeah. I'm not gonna say that I'm against gay men being gay, right? And then I turn around and watch gay porn. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I get your point.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's telling the truth or not. But
here's how you can tell. Here's how you can tell when a woman is lying. Are you ready? Are you ready? Her lips are moving. Her lips are moving.
I didn't hear that. What did he say?
Her lips are moving.
So I want to hear something from Dwayne. Dwayne, what are your thoughts? Chris laid out some statistical and medical facts. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, my thought is this here that as far as like, I guess, the relationship with women, I mean, if you like sluts, then date the sluts. If you don't like sluts, then don't date them.
Exactly.
And if you're gonna, and every man, pretty much, even when they're married, every man wants a whore in the bed and a slut in the bedroom. So you have different personalities. At home and then at work.
Hey, Dwayne, but you don't bond and marry a slut and whore. There to be enjoyed. Okay, all right.
For one, you don't look. For one, yeah, right. But for one, you don't know what their past life was. You don't know if she was a whore. You only can go by what she said. Just like she's gonna go by what you said.
No. Dwayne, I've already stated you that every woman is a whore. Okay.
By nature.
And they're never going to be honest
that's your opinion. No, that's your opinion. I don't care what facts you studying. That's just an opinion. That's not fact. Like I said, you can have a woman that's been prescription, been out there.
Can I be
the best wife?
Dwayne.
You can have, like I said. No, let me finish talk. Let me finish. You can have a slut. You can have a woman that was a slut. She can become the best wife, and the wife that you marry, she can become a slut. And listen, and if you're a Christian,
maybe she's been humble.
And you go to church, you find the biggest slut because everybody wants to marry. Oh, I want to find a Christian man or a Christian wife. And turn out they slut.
Hey, Dwayne, what's the definition of a whore?
The same thing.
What? Okay, Dwayne.
Yeah.
If a woman says, "Hey, I'm not gonna fuck with you unless you have this, and that." Okay, that's a whore.
That's a
Okay,
high
but
maintenance.
you know what?
Okay, so hey, I'm just trying to let you know, hey, if there's no gain for her even fucking with you, which is brief post law, but as long as having sex, she's not gonna sit up there and spread her legs unless she sees some gain for herself. That's a
Now,
whore.
If a woman,
hold on,
let me tell you, if a woman says something like that, there says, well, if you can't give me this, then don't fuck with her. That's all.
Hold on, I will say this. Hold on.
It's just common sense. It's just common sense. It's common sense. You don't fuck with her.
This is the only caveat I'll give women. This is the only caveat I'll give women. Women are the smaller, weaker, dumber, and the less intelligent of the species. That's it. I mean, it's a fact that men exceed them in every aspect. So it's in their interest. It's in their interest that when they choose a man, that they choose a man that can provide for them, that can protect them. So I don't get mad if a woman says that she's only going to marry or only interested in dating a man that can help take care of her and help protect her, because that's her biological nature.
Right, which is a whore.
So she deserves protection.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that to be really derogatory, but I'm saying by nature she's a whore. Okay, she's not wrong for that.
That's an opinion. That's your opinion that she's a whore.
Okay.
Like I said, if a woman comes out her mouth and the first thing they say is talking about what can you give me and you're gonna take care of me and begging for money, then don't deal with it. That's all. Bottom line. I mean,
but that's not the issue. Wait a minute.
But here's the thing.
Dwayne, you're going off topic. Dwayne, you're going off topic. Because it's not about. Wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute. No, you don't mess with it. Hey, if I want to fuck the bitch, I want to fuck the bitch. So that's the whole point, okay?
But if she's asking for things, why
Yeah,
bother?
we understand that. But hey, Dwayne, I tell you the definition of a whore. Now you going off on some other thing, okay? It's all about choices, okay? So whatever this guy decides to deal with, or this guy to do with, if he's willing to deal with discussions of that, if he's a trick, if he's a simp,
You said all
then
women
that's
are
him.
whores. You said all women are
whores.
You said they all are whores.
Hey, can I ask you something?
And you can't
Let me ask
speak
you
on all
something, bro. Let
women.
me ask you one question, bro. So we get off. Hey, can I ask you something? What is your benefit to your wife?
What is my benefit?
Yeah, how is your wife benefiting being connected to you?
We both equals.
No, listen.
It's a partnership. It's a partnership.
Listen, bro. You didn't answer the question. You're being moist now. How does your wife benefit from you?
Let me tell you. When my wife met, I'm gonna.
No, you're not answering the question, bro.
She saw something in me that I had potential. That I was, and when she met me, I didn't have shit. All I had was a black and white TV, a twin size bed. I didn't have anything.
You got a woman. You have a woman who didn't have no options. She got low standards. Let's move on.
No, she didn't have low standards.
Let's go.
Because
Let's go. All right.
Hey, fuck you, motherfucker.
Hey, whoa, wait, Dwayne, chill. Hey, chill. I want to bring in Hey, hold on, guys. Hold on. I want to bring in another caller. 1 second. Hey, Dwayne. Hey, Reg. Hey, guys. Dwayne, chill, Dwayne. Chill. Listen. I don't want to put anyone on hold.
Wow.
Hey, Reg, chill, Reg. Dwayne. Hey, Dwayne, stop. Hey, Dwayne, listen, I don't want to put you guys on hold, but if I have to put you on hold to stop it, I will. Hey, Sean, chill. I want to bring in area code 504. 504, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from? 504. You're just listening, I guess, huh? Or you have me on mute. All right. I guess 504. You are just listening. All right. Cool. So I want here's what I want to ask. So I understand a lot of guys may not understand the science that you have women who you talk about pair bonding, microchimerism. They have the sperm and DNA of another man in their brain that's affecting them emotionally. The more men a woman has sex with, the effect. But here's the question, and this may or may not have to do with the woman being 35 or being older, but there are a lot of women. So part of what I'm saying is men and women are not equal, right? So when we have sex, the impact on us physically and mentally is not the same. So if a woman is having sex with a lot of different men, let's say she's 30 years old, she had sex with 50 guys, and now she wants to get the high value, high quality man, and she believes that she's at his level. Is she being delusional because she has corrupted her womb, which is one of the things a man's looking for? So are women, and I'm asking this because you all have heard that dating coach Rebecca Lynn, and she talked about how women wanted men who were out of their league. So is that basically what women are doing? Is that they're sleeping with a bunch of guys and then they want this really good guy to marry them, and they are what some people would coin as damaged goods or a leftover. Is that what we have happening out here?
Yes, sir. Particularly when you look at 50 Shades of Grey.
I think they're still entitled to the guys that they were sleeping with in their youth.
Hey, Ted, when you got guys like Russell Wilson to go pull what he pulled, he gives them hope. See, when you get a really high profile guy to go wife up a single mother who had a kid by a guy who already had 5 or 6 baby mamas, then they start. That's they like they grab hold to that stuff. Just like you said, a pretty woman, when they see Richard Gere get this prostitute off the street, they start gravitating to this stuff. They give them hope.
Hey, Sean, you got some stuff going on. Can you turn your mic down some?
Oh yeah, that's been going on for a while. Yeah, you got something going on over there.
Guess that's my headset. I apologize about that, gentlemen.
Oh, don't worry about it, y'all. We good.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Another thing is another negative effect is it has on little girls. So they see these women doing this, and now these women are like, look at Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B. That's their role model.
Exactly.
Them seeing their mother being a wife and being, supporting a family and doing all that. Now it's the strippers and the whores out there. So they have no desire to become a wife anymore.
Yeah, but you know what? But like I was saying, this whore quarter, you got strippers who are becoming millionaires or becoming famous, or you got these women that come from these dysfunctional activities blowing up. So now,
Reggie, the number of women that become millionaires is so low. It's not even.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm telling you that the stripper culture, right? So if they see Cardi B comes up, or they see another person that comes from whatever it is, or they doing all this dysfunctional shit, then they feel it's okay for them to do it because they can still be like. Because look what happened to Cardi B. Look what happened to Meg Thee Stallion,
right.
Trina.
Oh, I get it. Yes, they can't disseminate that it's not going. They can't disseminate factual fiction. They can't disseminate that it's not going to happen to them.
Right,
yes,
right. Right. So that's just like Sierra and Russell Wilson when he did that. Did you see all them other baby mamas saying, "Woo"? So that just gave them hope. So,
yeah, but look at those same baby mamas. They're still broke and alone.
Oh yeah, we know that. We know that, but it still gives them that hope that they figure, hey, I deserve a high value man. I deserve this. This bitch is 400 pounds. She wants to chisel with a 6-pack. Okay, so and maybe she might have saw Jill Scott or some other woman of status with some money who was willing to pay for it, but she don't. She still look at it that way because Jill Scott got one, so I can get me one. You know what I mean?
So what about
Reggie, here's the thing, Reggie. Here's the thing, Reggie. If they truly believe that, they would have no animosity towards the MGTOW culture.
Let me ask you,
because right now,
are you in somebody's head? Are you in somebody's head?
I want to let I want to let Chris.
Are you in somebody's head? Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Are you in these women's heads?
Finish your sentence.
Are you in these women's heads? Are you
like I
in
said,
these women's heads? That's a question.
If women truly believe that they can be whores, they truly believe that they can be whores, and that they eventually find a millionaire, find somebody to take care of them, they would not have any animosity towards MGTOW.
Are you in these women?
I just want to ask you.
I'm listening to this.
There's a group of men.
I'm listening to
They
this.
would not care. They would not care.
I'm
They would
listening
not
to
care.
this mumble jumble
If there's a
bullshit.
group of men.
And
Dwayne, hold on, Dwayne.
like these women's heads.
Dwayne,
You know?
hold on, let him finish.
You're gonna category every women, call them sluts, whores, and like you're in their head, like you're a professional.
You got a male or a bride.
Yeah, but Dwayne, nobody said all women. Nobody said all women.
I said all women.
That's all I'm hearing.
Not
the
not
dickhead
all
Reggie
women.
said.
Hey, listen here.
The dickhead.
Not all. Listen, I said not all women are sluts, but all women are whores. Okay, and by nature they're whores. I'm not putting them down for it. It's a survival thing. Okay,
Yeah,
it's a survival thing. We understand. Just like Chris said, they're a weaker vessel. They're using their nature to survive off of your biological nature, okay? Which is you want to get with that motherfucker, okay? So, and the government understands that. Everybody understands that. So that's how you're being exploited. So now you have to, for you to make it with all of these laws and stuff, you have to fight your own biology. You got to be really smart. You got to be on your toes.
Hey, Reggie, call him parasite. It works.
Oh, I already
That's all we saying.
Yeah, but if you look on there, I call them parasitic whores all day long, and it's a fact that they parasitic whores because they're not going to fuck with you unless there's some game for them. I mean, unless she just got wait a minute, unless she really low on the totem pole, low self-esteem, broke, busted, disgusted, probably over there who's looking at Dwayne sorry ass. Go ahead.
Listen, you got a wife, you got a kid. You got a wife, you got a wife and a kid. Hey Reggie, you got a wife and kids?
I got
you got a wife and kids.
I got holes in different areas. Okay.
Yeah, because you're a sorry sack of shit. That's why.
Okay.
That's why you got
holes.
You're the reason that they having this topic.
Hey, I do have a wife. I have children.
What's up?
Reggie,
Anthony, I'm not talking about you, Anthony. Yeah, I know.
Reggie,
I know.
If Dwayne asks you if you have a wife,
Dwayne, I love whores. Dwayne, I love whores. I love them all.
Hey, Reggie.
I love all women, but I'm loving none.
And I guess, and they take your money. I know.
Reggie,
You that guy, they take
Dwayne
their money and they take your plane.
Dwayne asked you if you have a wife. If you want one, if you give me your address, I'll send you a stamp. And then you can get a mail order prize just like he did.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Chris,
Shit.
I know your hand must be really enjoying yourself. You know, but you never been married. You ain't never been a woman.
Nobody love me like myself. I got that be myself and I love 24/7. You simp.
Hey, wait. So listen.
Hey,
Listen.
Ted. I gotta ask Chris. I gotta ask. Hey, Chris. Did you see that big house documentary?
Hey, Dwayne. No, don't do that, Dwayne.
Hold on. Hey, Chris. Wait, hold on, man. Hey, shut up for a minute. Hey, Chris, did you see that? Did you see that documentary? Like Spitz Now?
I did not.
Okay, I'll send it to you. So I want to Spitz Now and a bunch of guys. Did you see that long? Big Top kind of is going a little mainstream. I'll send it over to you.
All right, so here's the question. Here's the question. So you all brought up what happened in Egypt. Dwayne, chill. So Kendrick, you brought up what happened in Egypt, and Chris, you gave statistics for teen pregnancy, and when we said the Asians, it's so low, it's not even worth mentioning, right? So you have Asians who have been in the United States for generations. You have Middle Easterns who have been here for generations, and somehow they are not having the same problems. And you know, and I'm gonna say for the Hispanic community, they get married as teenagers more often than others. So that teen pregnancy, a lot of times, is because the woman was married. But if you look at
because Hispanics actually have a higher teen pregnancy rate than blacks, believe it or not.
Right, so they get married. It's okay to get married at 18 or right. They get married at 18 or 19.
They're getting married.
Right. So if here's the question. Some people could say Middle Eastern men put their foot on their women's neck. Same with Asian dudes. Is that what's going to happen in the United States to get some law and order? Because we can't even have men and women come together, and women think it's okay to sleep with a bunch of guys without understanding their body wasn't made for that. And they're like Reggie was saying, the little girls, or Chris, you were saying, the little girls see it as an example, and they grow up, and what they're finding is the fact is women are less happy now than they were in the 1970s or before. So as much as women think being promiscuous is free and empowering, for some reason they're less happy. So do men in the United States have to somehow put an end to it and take the kind of actions like they did in Egypt and say, this is prohibited. Here's where the boundaries are, and these are the consequences.
Ted, it's already happening. It's called MGTOW. Add more red pill men. It's already happening. I already talked about the documentary. These guys, that shit is, hold up, Razorback. Let me get to this. That shit is spreading globally. Even the younger guys, just like you keep the younger guys is grabbing hold of that.
Right.
The younger guys.
But Reggie, the problem with it is, and the problem with it is it's not correcting behavior. It's just been
exactly.
So what Ted is asking is correcting the behavior, and I'm here to tell them that yes, there's two choices, all right, that we have. Mm-hmm. Now as men, we can all say that they can't lock us all up, and we just go around whooping their ass whenever they get out of line, which is what the Arabs and the Asians do. That's why you don't have that shit in their culture.
Well, and Chris, let me add one thing. You have daddy's support. You have the father's support if his daughter gets out of line with the husband. So there's a certain male support that you have in those cultures.
It has to be a universal fight among all men.
Right.
Like you said, the fathers see. You know, when a woman calls her father and says, you know, well, my husband slapped me or my boyfriend slapped me, he shouldn't go over there and fight that man. The first thing he should do, what did you do to make him do it?
Back home. That's what the
you know, what did you do? You know, instead of just going off the handle, because 9 times out of 10 we know it's it's these women just being unruly, and they act like children, but they want all these rights and responsibilities that men have, but they don't want to take responsibility for their actions.
Right.
Unlike men.
Exactly.
They think they get another dude knocked out.
So when you say, what are we going to do? Well, like I said, we have two choices. We can just go around, whooping ass and just put them in their place and just say they can't lock us all up, or you can protect yourself and become MGTOW and just walk away until, because it's a self-correcting ideology, feminism.
Yeah,
if you look now, now they're starting to eat their own. They're starting to eat their own. Look at them going after Ellen DeGeneres now. You know. So they're eventually going to eat their own.
And Marxism, though, it always ends up eating itself.
Yes, it's going to eat
Feminism is heavily entrenched in Marxism.
Hey, the fucked up thing about it is, men need to understand they need to save women they need to save women from their own nature. Okay, so
yes, but the number one threat to a woman is your own self.
Yeah. So when you let it go, so they just let it go, but they found this, whoever's the 1%, whoever's gaining from all of this, it's really interesting though. But
people funding it,
Like
the Rockefellers and all of that.
So really, what we're saying is,
but you know what?
we're saying
If men just pull their resources, be 25% from society, it will start to crumble immediately. If you could get, 25% of the men on the globe or in this country is just stop simping and to pool resources. But hey, you need to make these women, they say we want to be equal, make them equal. Let them be accountable and responsible for everything. Do not help them. Hey, fix everything. They got to maintain the house, the plumbing.
They want to be strong and independent.
They're not manufacturing nothing. The warehouse.
They're doing that now. What are you talking about?
Listen here, dummy.
I'm
talking
they doing that
on
now.
another level, you fool.
You're all late. You know what? You are so. You guys are. I don't know what you guys listening to, but you know what? Why don't we just take them all and put them out on the street and let them process it and make them okay? Why don't we just do that?
They're actually doing that in Venezuela.
Cut all the government assistance and all of that.
Get them off the government system. Get them off the government system, like he said.
Venezuela, because of feminism,
we ain't talking about Venezuela. We talking about America.
You have women who are doctors. You have women who are doctors and lawyers and accountants that are having to prostitute themselves just to feed their families. Now, if women here in America want to keep clinging to these feminist ideologies, they're headed down the same path. And I'm not going to stop them. I don't care.
I already told you, I don't care. This power.
All right, so if you don't care, shut the fuck up then.
Here, Dwayne. Here, you moist motherfucker. Don't say nothing when I'm talking, you moist motherfucker. Shut up.
I just did.
Hey, Reg, chill, Reg.
We're trying to have a productive conversation here. I mean,
Hey, I tried, man. Hey. I don't like smells.
No, the way
I don't like vagina. Shut up.
You get excited. I think you're getting excited by my voice.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, Reg.
Say that, right?
Hey, what are you gay? What are you gay?
Hey, Dwayne, come on. Dwayne. Hey, Dwayne, support your point, Dwayne. Don't attack him personally.
No, he attacked me first.
All right, then.
No, you did it.
When he brought in my wife, that's an attack.
Oh Lord, that was 15, 20 minutes ago. You should hold on to that.
That's right.
Hey, come on, let's go.
Hey, Dwayne, support your point, man. It's so you all did an exchange. I got it. I got it. You did an exchange, but let's keep the conversation. Listen, if the U.S. is not a whore culture, I think what they want to hear is for you to support why you say it's not.
LT.
Yes.
I say it is.
I say it is too, but I wanted to make a point to support what Chris and Rich were saying. I'm not with MGTOW, but I do agree on some of their points, and what we're going to have to do is to, and this calls for us to discipline ourselves sexually so that we can do what we need to do as men and stop fucking with these damn fucked up in the head ass women. And like they said, like Rich and Chris was saying, after we stop fucking with them, they'll get the message.
Well, yeah, but that was all. Hey, bro. Hey, now that you got rid of that situation, you need to get yourself a passport, and then you're gonna really you're gonna have a different view about a whole lot of things. Okay?
Oh, I got a passport. Hey, yo, Rich, I got a passport.
Red.
Well, hold on, Reggie, because getting a passport isn't always the answer. Because all you're doing is trading American horse for foreign horse. So when it's all said, the same behaviors that the women, the same behaviors that the women are doing here that we have a problem with, you're going to another country and fucking those same types of women. So getting a passport isn't really, it's not solving the underlying issue.
Well, yeah.
All you're doing is fulfilling self-gratification. That's
but that's
I don't know about all this.
But
Chris, you're right. I don't travel internationally, do all the stuff, going looking for no wife or looking for romance and love. I go out there for pure excitement and adventure. Go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
To the other brother who said that he doesn't agree with MGTOW, what particular aspect of MGTOW don't you agree with?
It's not that I don't agree with it wholeheartedly. It's just maybe in some, and I don't know too much about it. All I know is that men are going their own way. For me, it just has to be a balance. But on the whole, I understand what it's about, and it could be a good thing. But like I said, I haven't never delved into it myself, and maybe the premise of it is positive. I'm not with nobody that preaches extremism.
Hey, Mike.
It's not extremism.
Mike.
Hold on a minute. So
go ahead.
Can we agree that feminism is a form of extremism? It's actually a form of Marxist.
Most definitely.
So if you're fighting an extremist society, you can't take a lackadaisical approach. You can't take a non-combative approach. No, you have to take a more draconian, a more combative approach than what you're facing. You have to meet that force with more force. That's all MGTOW is doing is telling these men to protect themselves from this shit by just walking away. And put it like this: if you and I were to we got an argument, we're face to face. And we're about to fight. If I can win that fight by doing nothing but simply walking away,
no, that shit ain't gonna work. I get the point.
Rather than beating you to a pummel and bloody in my
90 seconds.
All this energy, getting all this blood on my clothes, just doing all this shit, risking my life because you might, get up, pull out a gun and shoot me. If I can just simply walk away and avoid all that, why wouldn't I?
Oh yeah. No, I see your face.
Yes.
I don't want to interject. Hey, Mike. Are you on Facebook?
No, it's Anthony. I think you're asking Anthony.
Anthony, I'm sorry. Anthony, are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Are you on Ted's?
Yeah. I'm on Ted's.
Okay. Hey, I'm Reggie Hardy. Requested as a friend.
Yeah. You respond to some of my comments.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's me. So, requested as a friend.
No,
hey,
sometimes I'm on there. No, sometimes I'm on there. Nanya people.
Okay, listen. This requested as a friend. and in your instant messenger or whatever, I'm going to send you some information on MGTOW and some guys that, you know, open up your mind a little bit to give you a little bit more broader perspective on some stuff, okay? And just what an impact it is actually having, okay?
10 seconds.
Another negative aspect of this whole culture is the birth rates. The birth rates are the lowest ever in U.S. history because these women are out. These women are out having all this sex, being irresponsible, and they're having abortions at a record rate.
Yes, sir.
Birth control.
Marriage rate.
Hey, well, you know what? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out if they have an abortion. I'm over in the hood and I see a bunch of sperm whales walking around here all pregnant and everything. So I figured the gravy train was still on with the government. So they still dropping them.
That's the thing. That's the thing, bro, Reggie. They're still having babies, but they're having abortions at a much higher clip than they're having babies.
That's in the black community, right? Or overall?
That's overall.
It's overall. Oh, okay.
So then let's look at another thing overall, right? So if a woman believing being promiscuous and getting pregnant and even getting pregnant by different men and having the children, the facts that we see in juvenile detention, 70% of the people in juvie come from single mother homes. 80%, over 80% of men incarcerated, single mother household. 90% of high school dropouts, single mother household. And here's the worst. No, but here's the worst part of it. These people who are doing the mass shootings. They shoot 20, 50 people in a day. About 98% of them come out of a single mother home. And then you have people who don't shoot 50 people in a day. They might shoot 50 people in a month or 30, 60 days. They're shooting people. They're all coming out of single mother households. And if that's not bad enough, the suicide rate for children between 11 and 17 has been up 132% for girls and up 60% for girls in single mother households. So they might be getting a benefit, like you're saying, Reggie, but they're actually damaging, and even there's death from suicide, from mass shootings or murders, in the hood. So is this good for society? Is the other question. They may think that they're just having a good time and fun, but there are consequences now.
But they don't care. But Ted, they don't care. They don't care.
There's one word.
Children themselves.
The government don't care.
They know no matter what, they're going to be taken care of. That's why they don't care.
Along with the money coming in.
There's one word that everybody keeps forgetting, and that's the word solipsism. Solipsism is the idea that everything, that the world revolves around you.
Around you, yeah.
So these women, so Reggie's right.
That's very
Reggie's right. These women, they don't care. All they care about is their own. All they care is I'm having fun.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care. Hey. They don't care if their kids. Hold on, Reggie. Hold on. They don't care.
I know.
They don't care if it's causing their kids to turn to drugs because they're so depressed because they don't have fathers around, because they actually don't know who got them pregnant. They don't care that their kids are committing suicide because they're so depressed. The only thing they care is that they get to go out, they get to be whores, and they get to have it reinforced by by society. By society telling them that no matter what, you're still a strong, independent woman, and nobody can judge you.
And don't forget your brand too. They love it.
Oh yeah.
The woman who did Sex in the City. Sex in the City was pretty much a show promoting women to be promiscuous, to never marry, to just go around and just be just pure feminine, sleep with as many men as you want. go after, these high-powered jobs because, you're worth more than men, blah, blah, blah. This woman is at 60-something years old. She's never had children, whatever. She said if she herself, this woman was a multimillionaire, said if she could go back in time, she would choose to be a wife and a mother versus being this author and this woman who made this successful TV show, but she's still alone at the end of the day, and she has no children. She has no legacy. She said she would give all that up if she could go back in time and be a wife and a mother. Let that sink in.
Yep. Sure did.
And that's the future for a lot of them, brothers. I'm telling y'all, that's the future for a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
And you said before, Ted, that a lot of the older women don't warn the younger women, like, hey, you might not want to embrace that. You might not want to be like that because it's not going to end well for you.
They don't tell them, and I mean that's the thing is they know, but like you said, hey, that's a female thing, man. Like I said, you got baby mama generational pass down welfare or culture this past generation to generation. Hell, I seen it in my own. Hey, I seen it in my own family.
Me too.
Because my brother married a illiterate whore. Okay, and gave him 5 kids.
But there's another dynamic, especially in marriages where you have, and in relationships where you're living with a woman for a number of years. There's this dynamic where everybody wants to keep their business inside the house and they don't want to let the family know what's going on. Part of that is because nobody wants to fucking be accountable for what the fuck they're doing.
That's it.
She doesn't want that family shaming her.
All I know, T, is over there in Saudi Arabia. Some of the princes and some of his men will be done chop your head off if they caught you that heavy information. And y'all may laugh at me, but that's the truth. If they found out that woman out here doing all that nasty stuff, he'll chop her head off. Y'all know I'm telling you. That's what's going to happen over here.
Over there, in the Middle East, if a woman gets raped, she actually gets stoned.
That's what I'm saying.
She actually, and the reason why she gets stoned is because she should have never put herself in a position to be raped. She should have never been out in public without one of her brothers or one of her uncles or her father with her to protect her from other men.
Yeah.
So basically, they're saying that she wanted that in a roundabout way.
All right. So if you take that, this is why I wanted to talk about Asian culture and Middle Eastern, because what you all are saying, it's the men that take a stand and created boundaries. So what did men in the US do? Like, how did it get this out of control? If men
gave them right.
They allowed
they cater to the peace league. They cater to the peace league. They bow down to the peace league.
Well,
once they give them right, game over.
So Sean said something about feminism being Marxism, and feminism. The term was coined back in 1837 by this French guy, and it basically was Marxist philosophy. And it seems like that was something that they wanted to push on the world. And part of the philosophy of feminism is if you can get the father out of the home, it's easier to control society. So just a woman with her children, you can influence her easier. And if you break the man from his family, and hell, now you have most of the workforce is women. So what if this is intentional?
Something wrong with that pitch.
What if this is intentional?
It is intentional. It's an easy way. It's an easy way to instill communism within a country. It's the easiest way to push communism. Once communism takes effect, we all die.
All right. So then here's the question. Then can MGTOW even stop that? Can MGTOW, red pill, black pill, can any of that stop it? Even if you try to placate and do whatever women say. And really, this is about feminism and communism and breaking up the family, because that's exactly what Black Lives Matter is about. It's about getting the father out of the home. They tell you straight up that I'm a Marxist and I study it. So
Black Lives Matter is bullshit.
Right.
But it's the men that stand up and take a political stance. So I would say yes.
A lot of men are the shaming language that gets thrown at us, being called a misogynist and all this other stuff is a big part of it, because I mean, how do you used to not know how to react to that, and nobody wants to be accused of being being a misogynist or anything. I laugh.
No. I'll tell you exactly how to respond. When they call you a misogynist, yep, I am. It's plain and simple. Yep, I am. Here's the thing, because if they call you a name, it's like racism. Like racism.
Yeah.
If somebody calls you racist, right, and you say, yeah, I am. Well, you've just taken up all the power out of that word. They can no longer use that word against you. So if someone calls you a misogynist, say, yeah, I am. You're sexist.
But I wouldn't agree with it.
No, once you've done that, you removed all the power from that word.
Exactly. You sure have. You sure have.
Because these words have been thrown around so blindly over like the last 20, 30 years. It's completely lost in value.
But that's what they do. They use words to hurt you. They're like Harry Potter using magic spells against you. So if you just fucking ignore them, the spell doesn't work.
But all life goes through that woman, man.
Yes.
Hey, watch with this. Hey, Kendrick, watch with this girl. Watch with this Kamala Harris thing. Watch her call Trump all kinds of words under the sun. And the minute Trump protects himself and goes back on her, they're going to call him a racist, misogynist, sexist pig. Watch. That's why they got her. So she could be
why they brought her in.
He's already doing the name calling. He already started the name calling. They call Trump a racist with no. They call Trump a racist with no. When you ask them how is he racist, they can never answer that question. And when they do give you an answer, you can bring out facts to prove that they're wrong, and they still call him a racist.
They still call him
I
racist.
believe. I truly believe he is a racist.
Call him all kinds of
I
names
believe he is a
and
racist.
call him all kinds of dumb bitches. And the once he responds and attacks her, he's gonna be a sexist, racist motherfucker. That's why they got him.
I believe
This is like
that
a cookie comment. You got to take the whole context. You said if you're a man with money or power, any woman will let you grab him by the pussy. Why be mad at him for stating a fact? Be mad at the woman for degrading herself to that level. I mean,
yeah, but the thing what makes him a racist is because he hung out with Jesse Jackson and a couple of sports figures or singers or rappers, all your kind, doesn't mean he supports. Yes, it does. It doesn't mean he likes. I've worked with racists. I've worked with racist people. They worked with me, but doesn't mean they like me.
I want to say something. It's kind of getting away from the topic, but Donald Trump does not control his country. Corporations do.
Right. But you know what? He gave the corporation.
and who controls the corporation?
For a lifetime.
The Democrats.
He gave. No, they don't.
Let me just state a few facts. Let me just state a few facts. Hold on. Let me just say
Who controls the news media?
a few facts.
No,
Few
it's
facts.
Republicans
This alleged
corporation. They're the ones that give the corporation a big tax break, and then the middle class or the middle class doesn't. No, that was the Republican.
Over everybody's eyes.
That was the Republican.
Democrats
They supported it. You know, they supported that.
But did you know during Black Wall Street, much of our ancestors in Black Wall Street were Republicans.
The Republican Party was invented by black people.
Back then.
But hold on.
Back then.
But
And
hold
then
on.
in the 60s, you had Lyndon B. Johnson. What did he do? He signed the Civil Rights Bill. And then the Democrats, which was the Democrats, came over to the Republicans. So yeah, you're right. All blacks back in Wall Street, all blacks were Republicans. They were conservative. And they still are conservative. But then you had, like I said, once the Civil Rights Bill was changed over,
there was no changing of polarities. There was no changing of polarities. The same Democrats you have now are the same Democrats you had back then. And you can, and it's evident by the politics. It's evident by the
They
politics.
moved up north and
There's a
Republicans moved south.
There's a difference. You guys better learn your history.
And this alleged racist that you call Donald Trump, well, he's giving more black men business. He's giving more black men.
No, he didn't. We
He's
didn't
giving
get
more black men
anything. I'm a
business loans
business. I'm
than any other sitting president.
for myself, and I didn't even get the loan.
He's let more black men.
That came from
You see why he won't let me talk?
That came from
See why he won't let me talk? He won't let me talk because I'm going to spit
because you're lying.
All right, hey guys, one at a time. Dwayne, let him say what he's saying, Dwayne. Dwayne.
Because he didn't let me finish. Every time he say,
We give you your chance to talk.
correct.
Actually, Dwayne, everyone was silent. Everyone, Dwayne, everyone was silent while you were speaking. We all listened to you without interruption.
No, he interrupted me when I said about. Listen, white boy, you the one got.
Hey, Dwayne, don't jump on everyone.
You see,
I listen to you.
he can't control himself. He can't control himself. Just mute his
I
mic.
listen to how you speak it. You speak that code word, welfare.
Now,
and that's what
Donald Trump is giving more black men business loans than any other sitting president. He's let more black men out of prison than any other sitting president.
No, he didn't. That's a lie.
He's reformed.
That's a lie.
He's reformed.
That's a lie.
Keep black men.
He let one black woman.
Prison sentences.
He let one black woman.
He's let more than one black woman out. He's let a lot of black men out. He's let a lot of black men out.
No, he didn't.
So
no, he didn't.
Even during this pandemic, the majority of people affected financially by it were minorities, were black people. And what did he do? Not only did he give them $1,200, but he gave them an extra $600 a month. Now, if he's so
and you know what's
why
gonna
is he
happen?
doing all this for black people?
If he lose, he ain't do nothing for black people.
Obama never did anything.
He did a lot for black people.
We had two government
He did
shutdowns
a lot.
under Obama.
But here's the
Obama
thing.
never did
Here's
anything
the
for black
thing.
people financially.
He did a lot for black people.
No, he didn't.
And
He
here's
did a
the
lot.
thing.
He did a lot for the
Here's the
LGBT
thing about
He did a lot for the LGBT.
That's because what did they
Black
say?
people, most of
What did
them
they
with
say?
Obamacare.
What did they say? The LGBTQ. They had a strong lobby. That's why they got what they want. So if you want to talk about black people and say, "Oh, he didn't do
They're
anything,"
heavily indoctrinated in Marxism too.
So you just admitted that he didn't do anything for black people. Thank you.
no, I didn't admit that. There, I'm saying
Yes, you did.
All right, so hey, we're sidetracked. This is not the. This is straight talk. This is not the political pundit show. This is not. We're going too deep down the politics. So no. I don't want to talk about politics anymore. No politics. This is no more. So it's interesting. It's interesting that there's a guy in the chat. He was saying that the divorce rate in his country, which is Kuwait, is going up. It's very high too. So I asked him what happened, and he said these are his words: feminism and mainly women working increased divorce rates. From what I see, women aren't spending time with their children, but at work, and hire domestic workers from third world countries.
Yes, he's right.
He said,
Filipino women.
He said, I also think it's due to social media and entertainment. So they're starting, even in the Middle East, they're starting to find divorce. And what I mean, yeah, high divorce and the breakup of the family, which is opening the door for Marxism. And so here's part of the problem when you give most of the jobs to women. Women, as everyone has been saying, they don't want to marry a poor guy. Even if a woman makes a lot of money, she'd rather still marry a guy who makes more than her, and she's going to expect him to pay most of the bills. I know some of these women. And if the woman is now has her degree and has a job, she doesn't have to cooperate with the man. She can say, kiss my ass. I don't have to work with you because I have my own money and I'll take the children. And that's exactly what's been happening in the US. It's not so much that women get a degree and a job so that they can help with the household and on society. That's had a negative effect. But what they've done is they have these jobs as a backup plan. So when I screw up my marriage, I can land on my feet and have, my own job and I don't have to cooperate with the man. See, one of the things feminism did is told women that men are dominating you. They're going to force you to be pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen, in the bedroom. And that's what men, and that's just a lie. Men are going to change your last name and they dominate and control you. And women actually bought into it. There are a lot of women abandoning feminism here in the US because they see that it's been really about hate. And just as a quick side, Black Lives Matter and the whole gay movement, they are right now trying to pass laws to make pedophilia legal because they're going to say it's my sexual preference and I can't help it. And that we opened the door. Obama opened the door for that. And this is going to be very problematic because there's some legislation that I heard is they want to say if you're over 4 years old, they want to lift restrictions for consensual sex. So an adult should be allowed to have sex with anyone who's over 4 years old and it not be illegal because they can't help it and it's their sexual preference. And we've opened the door for that. So by taking women out of the home and caring for children, making sure their education is good, and women not having to cooperate, we now have an uncooperative society that's going to be easy to control, very easy to control. And Marxism is that.
Ted, another thing that they're trying to do is they're encouraging women that if they have a male child to just abort it at birth.
Really?
They're also trying to, they're encouraging women to kill their male sons, their male children. They're also trying to pass legislature, like I said before, where they can, and they, I don't know how they don't consider this murder, but where they can abort a child up to 2 years old.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard about that. Yeah.
2 years old, that's not an abortion. That's flat out murder.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Murder. And you see, I know you see them doing these. They have these trainings going to these schools and reading to children. Now, why does a child need to be taught, sexuality, at that age? They learn their ABCs and they just want to be children, but they're trying to teach them about sex, and they're having them perform in drag shows for these trainings too.
Yeah.
There's a little white boy. I forget his name. But they actually had this boy put on a striptease show for a bunch of trainings.
Yeah, that's why I don't want my children going back to school.
Or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I forget his little name. But, they're encouraging this boy. He's young.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this here. When you talk about the LGBTQ, okay, you got straight men that have sex with little young girls too. All right.
Who said that was right?
They want to make it legal.
Right.
So what the LGBTQ did was they said they wanted benefits as a partner. So this way they can make decisions.
What does that have to do with pedophilia?
No.
They wanted to become a husband and husband, or a wife and wife. That's what they wanted. At first it was like they wanted to be a union. Well, you got grown men, straight men that do that now. You got the Catholic
you know what? And you know what?
did that.
Nope.
Because it's being normalized.
Exactly.
You got the Catholic,
the LGBT.
right, you got the
They're trying to normalize it.
Catholic priests.
The Catholic Church is not trying to normalize it.
They're trying to legal. They're trying to legal.
But yeah,
They want to legalize it.
What they did was hid it. They hid it.
Right. So
That's what they did. All these years they hid it.
They're hiding it. That
So they normal.
That means they have some sort of shame towards it. Where the LGBT community, they're doing it out in the open, and they're trying to pass legislation to openly do it. That is the difference between them and the Catholic Church.
That's just propaganda talk.
No, Dwayne. There is real legislation.
That's propaganda. That's not gonna. That wouldn't even pass.
Okay.
That wouldn't even pass.
It's on the Black Lives Matter mission statement.
And says all this stuff.
It's in the Black Lives Matter mission statement. They want to
Founders are lesbians, yo.
It's in their mission statement.
It is. They want to move age restrictions for sexual consent. It's on their website, and any lawyer will tell you that's pedophilia.
Yep.
Once you
And a
move,
lot of high-profile men getting caught right now.
so right now,
they're going to add an A for animal and an I for keeping it in family.
so once you make pedophilia legal, like right now, if an adult has sex with your minor child, there are consequences. If they make it legal, they can take your 7-year-old, have sex, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But they're not gonna make it. They're not gonna make it legal, so you don't have to worry about that.
You
It's not gonna be legal. They're not gonna make it legal.
They're pushing for it.
Loud enough.
That's what we're talking about. They're pushing.
It's not
for
gonna
it.
happen. It's not gonna
Well,
happen.
they're pushing for it. They're pushing
It's
for
not gonna happen.
But
It's not gonna happen.
all over.
No.
it. How about you take the same animosity that you have for us,
That's their
bringing it to your
business.
attention?
That's their business.
How about you take it to
That's
them
their
for trying to
business.
I'm
help you?
just saying, dude.
That's
They got
their
married.
business.
That's their
What's not to
business.
say?
That's their business. That's their business.
Well, wait.
They
Does
got married. That's their business.
Does
They
every-
got marriage? What's not to say?
If
They
you
push.
if you don't
and
like
that-
so homosexuality was
That's
illegal?
what they did.
No. At one point, homosexuality was illegal, and people would say it could never be legal. It'll never happen.
Now it is legal.
It was actually considered
That
a mental
Oh,
happened in
illness.
Obama era.
No,
At one point in time,
They
it was
had-
actually considered a mental illness.
They had gays since day one. Okay, beginning of time they had gays.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Were you here at the beginning of the time?
Sodom and Gomorrah started a lot of that.
So, there you go.
But they were all when boys.
right.
They were all kinds of stuff. Boys were for pleasure, and women for making babies back then too.
Rome too.
So what? They
all them
you
places.
you got you and you
It
had
was like
you had
that
gays in the
Greco-Roman
military.
times too.
And you had gays in the military since
Two
day
adult
one,
men,
fighting
two
war.
adult men consent to sex with each other is not the same as an adult and a child. What part of that are you not
Thank
getting?
That's a totally different cup of tea right
It's
there.
not gonna.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Okay,
All right.
that law is not even gonna be passed.
All right, so we'll
It's not gonna
bookmark.
happen.
We'll bookmark this day, and we'll everyone will look for it. And if it never happens, that's good. And if it does, the way they'll do it, they'll pass it in a bill that you won't even realize was passed. It'll be passed in some other
They're
bill,
not gonna.
and it'll be covered. It'll be hidden.
It'll,
Right.
It must
it'll
be
probably
the
be on the
Republicans
PCA
then.
or something.
It'll be the Republicans then to pass it then.
No, it's not.
They
It's
probably
Republicans.
have
It's
some old
Republicans
crazy
pushing
stuff.
against it.
No, I actually.
Republicans pushing against it.
Actually, Black Lives Matter
Okay.
is being supported by Democrat money, and they're the ones who's pushing for pedophilia, not the Republicans.
It's
The Democrats are behind LGBTQ, feminism, Antifa. I mean, they're funding them.
Yeah, it's right now.
Okay.
The lobbyists
And
to pass it. It's all.
the big cahoot behind a lot of it.
It's Democrats pushing it right now, not Republicans.
Now, the Democrats
They've been
not
against
pushing
this
that.
the whole time.
No, they are because
We're getting back into politics. We need
No,
to
no.
get back
It's
on
not
topic.
even going to pass.
they are in bed with the Black Lives Matter, and the Black Lives Matter are the ones who are pushing it. All of that is
And it doesn't matter. You
Democrat.
can tell him facts all day long. He's just going to ignore them.
Yeah. Plausible denial.
Yes, that's just it. I'm going to ignore you. You're right. I'm going to ignor you. And I can't look it up because I'm driving right now.
No,
I'm driving right
won't
now.
look it up.
That's
you
why
won't look it up.
No. Listen, Mr. Chris, you don't know what I would do, but I will look it up, but I can't do it right now because I'm on the road right now. I appreciate you guys keeping me company.
Yeah, and it's funny that you call us gay. You call us gay, right? But
You are
instead
gay.
of calling your wife, instead of calling your
I'm
wife
not
on the
calling
road,
gay.
you chose to call. You chose to
I'm
call
not
yourself a
calling. I didn't call you gay.
It's just a
I didn't call you gay. I called you a faggot.
Give them any
That's what I call
attention.
I call you faggots. Faggots who hate women.
But you chose to
Faggots who hate women.
Talk to the faggot.
Yeah.
Talk to your wife.
No.
Yeah,
You
I
can
call
talk to your wife right now.
faggots.
You can talk to your wife right now, but
No,
you chose to talk to the faggot.
I called this. Yeah, faggots.
Hey,
You
so
and
wait,
the
hold
guy.
on. Hold on. So here's someone said something in the chat, and I'm going to relate it to something that's actually happening in Israel. So in the chat, someone said, so men need to pull their resources away from women and organizations that encourage this bad female behavior. Well, in Israel, there are a lot of women who are abusing the laws. They accuse men of abuse, right? Of beating them, and the men actually haven't. So it's happening. It's happened so much, and men are actually videotaping that the woman rips her clothes, hits herself, calls the police, and claims the guy beat her. The guy gets arrested. He goes to jail because the police believe her. So what men are doing is, since that's the behavior of women, they are not giving women jobs. Women are becoming more and more unemployed in huge numbers. So either the women are going to have to build their own civilization, right? They're going to have to build their own, create their own car companies and construction and build their own skyscrapers, or they're going to have to learn to cooperate with men. So it's based on what this guy is saying. He's kind of saying the same thing. Just pull your resources from women who do this, because there are lots of women who still cooperate. But as a culture, the United States has embraced feminism. So what do you guys think of that, of what's happening in Israel? If you pull your resources and women have to either create their own or learn to cooperate.
Well, that was the point I was trying to make, and what Chris and Reggie was talking about. If we stop fucking with these women and start to work on ourselves and build ourselves and hold them accountable, eventually that'll happen. And as far as them going and starting their own societies and all of that shit and building, that shit ain't gonna happen. So they're gonna have to fall in line.
Never happen. Hey, Ted, a question came up in chat, Ted. I was wondering if I answered.
What question was that?
So a question, he said, what specifically are some ways men are preyed upon more so than females?
Right.
I mean, obviously this guy, I don't know if this guy is stepping or what, but I'll give him some examples. Number one, the unfair child support laws. As when it comes to birth, women love saying "my body, my choice." So if a child comes into this world, It's because a woman allowed it. She chose it. She wanted to have that baby. Men have no say so upon conception. So once that baby is conceived, if a woman brings a child into this world and this man didn't want it, why is he forced to give up 33% of it of his pay for a child that he didn't want? And actually, in some states, it's 36%. Some it's even higher. That's one way. Another way is jobs. Jobs are being taken from men and given to women specifically for just to satisfy the numbers of Washington. They're called diversity hires. Business loans. Business loans are given to women easier than they're given to men. College. Women are given all kinds of opportunities to get into college where men aren't. Men have to earn their way into college, either playing basketball, getting scholarships, playing football, or for just flat out paying for themselves, where women are given all this free money to go to college and all this and also let's see, what's another thing?
Well, Chris, let me add one thing. You have women who rape teenage boys, adult women who rape teenage boys, and as soon as they turn 18, they hit them up for child support. So how can you rape a boy?
There's a teacher that actually did that.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a teacher who actually did that. She had sex with a 14-year-old boy. She got pregnant. Now, when she didn't even go to jail for it either. Didn't go to jail for it. And when that 14-year-old boy turned 18, he was already 4 years behind in child support.
I didn't know that part. Are you serious?
Yes. I'm dead serious.
Oh, wow.
And he was on the verge of going to jail. He was 4 years behind in child support. So Black Sigma, I don't know what Saudi, what you're not paying attention to, but there's all kinds of ways where women are taking advantage and preying upon men. And it's because the laws are allowing it.
Yep. And the laws gonna have to change.
Because those laws were manipulated by feminists.
And even with these false rape accusations, right now a woman can accuse any of us of a false rape accusation. Brian Banks. Brian Banks was was NFL bound, and he had a woman falsely accuse him of rape. He spent 6 years in prison. He got her to confess on tape that she lied on him after she won $1 million in a lawsuit against his school for this false rape allegation.
Wow.
And she didn't have to pay a dime.
Wow.
She didn't have to pay a dime of that money back, nor did she go to prison for falsely accusing this man of rape. She basically said, oops, my bad. Just get over it.
No, I know oops, your bad. You see, that's that Me Too movement.
Meanwhile, she destroyed this man's life. This man was NFL bound.
Yes,
he would have went in the top, probably in the top 10 in the draft.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that. And there's a lot of that going on. Men scared to approach a lot of these women. But these men, you know, they might be high value men, but they ain't taking the chances, bro. We got to look at that too.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're not paying attention, Black Sigma, or if you're just simping, or you're just like the way you just refuse to acknowledge facts. But it's right there in front of your eyes. It's right there in front of your eyes.
Yes, sir.
They don't even try to hide it anymore.
Listen,
Oh,
there's good and bad in everybody. You know, like you had a kid that was about 18. He had sex with a 17 or a 16-year-old white girl, and they accused him. They found
he didn't have sex with her.
He was found guilty.
He just kissed her.
No, he
just kissed her.
He had a chance to get into scholarship in football. No, he had sex with her. He had sex with her, but the thing is, what they did him wrong, though. That was wrong. And what they did, they sentenced him and found him guilty of rape, having sex with a minor. So that was wrong. That wasn't justified.
I thought the age of...
Don't assume. Don't assume.
I guess that was in a state where the age of consent is older than 17.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. In just about every state in this country, I think at the most the age of consent is 16.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
There's some
Right.
17.
There's some states where
what a God
there's some states where the age of consent is like 14.
But yeah, but apparently it happened in a state where it's over 17, because Sean just said it's 17 in Texas. So every state's not the same.
I think it's somewhere you got to have. It's like 15 in Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, there you go.
The approval of parents.
Yeah.
Some of them say they can legally marry these kids. Now that's on book.
So what are your final thoughts on this topic of, and I got it, that some say it's a whore culture, some say it's not. We talked this through. We laid out quite a few statistics. I'm not sure if we have statistics against it, but there's a disagreement, a debate against it. So, closing thoughts.
It is a whore culture. It is. You know.
I'll say this and then I'll go because I know you're probably ready to wrap the show up. But yeah, it is a whore culture, and it's only going to get worse because the powers that be, this whole shadow government, have realized that it's profitable. It's profitable for women to be whores and to destroy the family unions. Because with the man at the head of the household, you can't manipulate that man. You can't do it.
That's right.
A man is going to protect his family. A man is going to protect his children, and he's going to control his resources. Women are solipsistic, narcissistic, and impulsive. They value nothing, it's particularly their money, and at the same time they think the world revolves around them. And as long as they do that, all you have to do is make them feel good about themselves, because all they do is they go by their feelings. So you make a woman feel good, and you can manipulate her to do anything you want, and that's why they're promoting this whole culture.
Into it. So basically about feelings. You feel good. And I think that's what Dwayne was saying about a player, a dude who's got game. That's all he has to do is make her feel good, and she's done.
Yeah. Ultimately, she still has that.
That's oh my gosh, we agreed on something. We agree on something. Oh my gosh, Chris. I hope you don't have a heart attack, man. We agree on something.
So, all right, good.
If you would listen to me earlier, I said earlier, but anyway. Yeah, hey, good. Thanks for the show, man. Good show, and everybody enjoy your week.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, Chris, you're speechless, huh?
I think he dropped off. Closing thoughts.
Can't say a word.
No, he dropped off. Closing thoughts. Someone else.
Yeah. Like I said, man. In this country, we're cultural conditioned. We've been cultural conditioned to believe that, back in the day, you're talking about 1800. It was totally different from now. But sex sells. That's the problem. Sex sells. You get somebody that you used to have singers like, let's say Diana Ross, and they used to wear their clothes and stuff. But now everybody's taking the clothes off. That's what they want.
Okay.
And what man is gonna, and you have men that chase that. That's what they want. That's their fantasy.
That just perpetuates the problem, though.
It's not a problem. It's a problem for you. It ain't a problem for them. Like I said, if you're gonna find a woman that you really want to be with, and she wants to be with you, okay, then if she has the same value that you have, then I guess it can work. But that's your choice you make. Everybody has a choice. You can get a slut, you can get a whore, you can get whoever. That's your choice.
All right, cool. Thanks. All right, who's next? Final thoughts.
Just let that spiritual dude go next.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's cool. I like him. Yeah, because me and you are on the same line.
I would like to touch on the value thing real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
When I said they men value love and women love value. They inherently value themselves. They value material things, both beauty and stuff like that. And that alone feeds into narcissism as well, as long as they have a bunch of people chasing after them and giving them all that attention. It just perpetuates the whole culture to just keep going down the destructive path it's going. That throwing birth control and abortion still being out there rampant, that further perpetuates it as well.
Yeah, birth control had an impact for sure. Go ahead.
We need moderation. We need to teach moderation, and we got away from that. And that's one thing about conservatism that I like is moderation. And when I was, one thing I remember while we were talking, I got to experience a little bit of sex ed when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and the teacher had said something along the lines of, for every person that when two people sleep together, everybody that person has slept with, you were in essence sleeping with that person, and you ended it with sex can wait, masturbate, and that just
Really, that's what they taught you. Interesting.
And they also taught, if you're gonna have sex, wrap it up or save it for marriage or a relationship. Otherwise, just we got away from teaching that kind of stuff.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Hey, my man, what's your name is?
Mine, Sean.
All right, Sean, hit me up on Facebook. If you intend, hit me up on Facebook.
Sean is connected to me. We're connected on Facebook, right, Sean? Or no?
Yes, sir.
We are. Okay. All
yes,
right.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Anthony or Kendrick, final words.
Yes, sir. When I found after I summed this whole thing up this way, T, because your boy from the old school. I'm a product of right now and of the old. So, in the words of the late Johnny Taylor, blues singer, everything's out in open, T. And this thing getting ready to come to a head real soon, man. I really do believe it.
Well, that's not good news.
It's never good news when a pimple pops.
All right, cool. All right. Anthony.
I'm in agreement to what was your name? Hezekiah? I don't want to say it wrong.
Who you?
Yeah. Oh, Henry.
My name Kendrick.
Yeah, Kendrick. Yeah, I'm in agreement with Kendrick and Sean, because I myself I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, and actually I'm studying to become a Kemetic Reiki practitioner. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I went to a retreat for certification about a month and a half ago, and I'm gonna tell you now, man, watching some of these sisters being worked on, a lot of them jumping off the table because they harboring a lot of negative energy that they've collected through the years. So what we're talking about, this shit is very important. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So, but this was an excellent forum tonight.
Thank you. Cool. Very cool. So yeah, I figured this might be somewhat of an ugly topic, and people don't always want to have these conversations. And we have this whole live and let live, and maybe on the surface it seems like that's a good philosophy, except if you want to create a team of any sport team, but if you took football, there's some components that you need. You need people who understand the game. You need people who are good at the game. They have what you call talent. Except one of the biggest things is you need structures that incorporate discipline and practice and knowledge, real knowledge of the game, which means that men have to understand that in the game of life, that personal development, their self-improvement, their mindset, that they have a craft and they become good at it, that they have the kind of discipline, like you were saying, Anthony, around their sexuality, that they don't have to run the streets and be with a bunch of different women. But the same kind of discipline and mindset in training and development that you need to make a champion team is what you need as an individual, as your family, and as a nation, even a corporation. And I think that's missing. So if you let your team, imagine you're a coach and you coach your team and you say, hey, everyone just live and let live and go out there on the field and just hope for the best. You're going to get crushed by a team that has discipline. And I think we strayed away from the kind of things that work. So, someone asked the question, Black Sigma, for younger guys, so many guys have been raised without the structure and the discipline that's needed to be successful in life and in business, that's going to have to be a focal point for men. And for the women who want to take a live and let live and just do whatever, you're going to have to start looking at what Israel has done and start closing doors on people who don't bring that discipline. While it may sound cold, but if you want to bring order out of chaos, that is going to be one of the most powerful ways to get order out of chaos, is to get a focus, get your head straight, because just because there's chaos happening around you doesn't mean it has to be happening inside your head. So it seems like we strayed from that too much, trying to give a trophy to everyone and to make everyone like you. And I think that's, if we didn't learn anything, that doesn't work. And we have to go back to discipline, training, development, having your head together. Yeah, people are going to have their head together so that they're not easily swayed by propaganda or whatever other things that are out there. So
not be all up in their feelings.
I would say each individual, as far as like being in charge, if you're, and I'm only talking about married couples, not single guys. Okay, if you're married, all you got to worry about is what's in your house. Deal with what's in your house. Don't worry about what everybody else. Like, when you make a comment about everybody, all women, now you include all women. You haven't slept with all women.
Well, see, Dwayne, what I'm suggesting is that men get their heads together before they go creating a household. So that they're bringing that kind of discipline to their family. Otherwise, if it's just do whatever you want to do, everyone just does what they want and everyone gets a trophy, you're going to have chaos, and no team, even if it's a family, is going to function well like that. So I'm saying men need to discipline themselves around sex, have a craft, get straight if you're going to be leading a family. And if as a man, you won't know how to lead your household, and that's why your own discipline, training, and development is key.
Well,
yes, sir.
Well, and this is why I said in this country, we're cultural conditioned that as men, we should go out before we get married, go out, have a good time. And you may get a woman that's into you. Like, oh, this is it. This is my guy, right? But you don't feel the same way. And I think we all been through that there, where we dated before we got married. You had a woman that, you liked her, but you weren't in love with her. It wasn't like you were going to be my wife. And I'm going to speak from my experience. If I dated you and I didn't bring you home, that meant you really ain't nothing to me. I'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
That's what they call it, selling their wild oats.
Right. See,
so that's why I said what I said.
If we take what I said, and as a father, you raise your daughter with certain values and discipline, it becomes really difficult for a man to play the daughter. It's going to be a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if you're going to have a family, you as the man, you're going to keep the head together, including your children, so they're not so easily persuaded by someone who just says nice things to them, and that's a problem. Everyone wants to feel good, but if you want to win the gold medal in the Olympics, it's not about feeling good. It's about training your ass off. And Usain Bolt will tell you some days he trained so hard he vomited in the middle of practice, and that doesn't feel good. Arnold Schwarzenegger had the same stories. So if you're not willing to put in that kind of training for your own personal self, then when you have a family, they're just going to be running wild, and you're going to be saying, well, live and let live, and there's nothing I can do. But when you have that disciplined mindset, like a coach for his team, he's not going to let them just run all over. He's going, you need structures. You want to win the game, you have to understand what you're doing out here, and you can't just let the other team trick you and run you down any dead end.
Hey, that's like with one of my sons, Chris, who got married back in March. What they did was they were dating for about 6 or 7 years, but then when they got engaged, they decided to be abstinent until they got married. I thought that was good, and that takes a lot of discipline.
Okay,
because you're already active, you're already sexually active.
Right.
They did the counseling. They went to marriage counseling and spiritual. Again, I'm spiritual. Religion, I don't care for religion. To me, religion is being a hypocrite. So I have an open mind.
All right.
I deal with Muslims.
All right. Hey, Dwayne, I'm trying to bring this to a close, man. I'm trying to bring this.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Yeah. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Thanks. Always love when you call in. Go ahead. If you want to say it last, you got to make it short, though. Go ahead. You were going to say something, Kendrick?
Oh no.
Yes, sir. I'm just in agreement with you because this thing, man, about these men that get out their place with the household. We're gonna be here accountable for this stuff here. To whom much give, much gonna be required to you.
That's listen.
Real talking. That's what I was taught.
If you want leadership, you have to understand the buck stops with you, and when the team loses, you led the team to a loss. So it's why I say let's look at Middle Eastern and Asian, and the men have held their place, and it doesn't mean they're beating the shit out of their women. It just means that there's a certain discipline that they expect and nothing else. And that's not just husband and wife. That's father and daughter, mother and son. So that's the kind of discipline. It's not abusive. It's what's in the best interest of the whole. And unfortunately, if you really, and this is not putting women down, women just don't always look at the big picture and long term. If it feels good now, let's do it. And men have a different responsibility. We just do. So we need to respect that difference and be responsible for it, because you can't expect women to do it or understand. I think, Anthony, you were saying there's some things she might not understand, but you've got to lead her through that. And that's where compatibility and values and all that comes in. So this was no question a lively conversation. I had a lot of good comments in the chat, so thank you for everyone for listening in, and you guys who called in. You were excellent. Love the back and forth thoughts, and everyone else who listened and didn't call in. So I thank everyone. You guys are great. You helped make this a valuable discourse, and I think if as a society we keep having these kinds of conversations, the solution comes out of the conversation and responsibility. But you have to have the conversation first, and it doesn't require everyone is in agreement. You just have to talk. So Thank you to everyone. Everyone have a good evening and the rest of your week, and look forward to conversations next week. So take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.